The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to medical doctors of any practice and specialty to apply to the Foundation's private weekly medical teaching workshop. This includes medical doctors, dentists, and veterinarians. Scientists of the Keshe Foundation developed different types of plasma therapies and cures that utilize advanced, non-invasive plasma technology. The weekly private medical teaching workshop educates doctors to the plasma science behind the therapies, along with the functionality and operation of revolutionary plasma medical devices. The goal of the private teachings is to add plasma health knowledge to the profound knowledge of medical doctors. The weekly class is broadcast live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central European Time. Presently, the class is only offered in English. However, you are free to bring a translator to the class. If you can't participate in the live broadcast, you can watch them later at your convenience through a private internet portal. Every patient's case that is discussed in the workshop will be kept anonymous and private. This includes cataloged findings and data gained from the analysis of the patient's health issues. Any medical doctor in the world who wants to participate can do so by sending an email to doctors@spaceshipinstitute.org. In your email, please state your willingness to participate in the medical teaching workshop. If you're planning on bringing a translator to the workshop, please state this in your email as well. After we receive your email, we will contact you with the instructions on how to apply to the workshop. As a part of the application process, applicants who apply, including any translators brought into the workshop, will be required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. All applicants will be required to provide proof of their education and ability to practice medicine, and will also be required to pass an extensive security background check before they are granted access to the teaching workshop. Healthful plasma technology is here, now, the use of which is increasing exponentially on a day-to-day basis on every continent. We encourage you to come and learn about this revolutionary technology. Apply today. The Keshe Foundation is extending an invitation to experienced farmers, agricultural specialists, and researchers to apply to the Foundation's private weekly agriculture teaching workshops. If you fall into one of these categories and are interested in plasma technology integration into agriculture, you're invited to apply. Scientists and agricultural practitioners of the Keshe Foundation continually develop and apply new methods of food and fiber production, soil fertility management, plant and livestock health management, and increased farm productivity using the most advanced plasma technology that is taught at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. In the teaching workshop, you'll learn the science of plasma technology and its applications in the field of agriculture for enhanced and equitable global food production while minimizing costs and external inputs. Practicing farmers and Keshe Foundation scientists will demonstrate their application of plasma technology in agriculture and the ensuing results of such applications, thus deepening and enriching learning for all participants in the private teachings. Participants are encouraged to demonstrate their farming practices in the teaching workshop. The private teachings are broadcast in English live over the internet through a secure private channel every Wednesday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central European Time. If necessary, you may bring a translator to the workshop. All applications are required to provide proof of their education and professional qualifications, must pass a security background check, and are required to sign the Keshe Foundation's World Peace Treaty, which can be found at the following web address. Translators that attend must also pass a security check and sign the World Peace Treaty. For details on how to join the private teachings in agriculture, send an email to agriculture@kfssi.org stating that you'd like to participate. Include in the email your education and agricultural experience and reasons for your interest in plasma technology. Applicants will be contacted with further instructions and details on the application process. The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce the Second Universal Council and Second Science Conferences, which will be held in Rome, March 27th through 31st, 2017. If you're interested in attending both or either conference, please go to www.keshefoundation.org and click on New Web Shop at the top of the homepage. You can attend the conferences as an audience member or participate as a science conference presenter. Presenters will be allocated 1 hour to present products and innovations in Keshe plasma technology in any of the following categories: space technology, health, materials, energy, agriculture, transportation, the environment, GANs and nanotech, and any other area that applies. Foundation distributors and manufacturers will be attending the conference, affording you the opportunity to build relationships to promote and market your products. The full package price for both conferences is €1,650 per person, which includes daily attendance to the conferences, 6 nights stay in Rome, as well as breakfast, tea, and lunch on the days of the event. Accommodations for this package is based on double occupancy. Check-in on the 26th of March, check-out on the 1st of April. The full package price for 2 persons for both conferences is €3,300, which includes daily attendance for 2 persons, 6 nights stay in Rome, as well as breakfast, tea, and lunch on the days of the conferences. Accommodations for this package include a twin room with a king-size bed. Check-in on the 26th of March, check-out on the 1st of April. You can stay additional nights if you wish at a cost of €175 per night per person. A single ticket for those who wish to only attend the Universal Council Conference, which takes place on the 27th and 28th, is €750, which includes the price of admission plus 2 nights stay in Rome in a 2 single-bed room, as well as breakfast, tea, and lunch on the days of the event. Accommodations is based on double occupancy. Check-in on the 26th of March, check-out on the 29th. A 2-person ticket for those who wish to only attend the Universal Council Conference is €1,500, which includes the price of admission plus 2 nights stay in Rome in a hotel room with a king-size bed, as well as breakfast, tea, and lunch on the days of the event. Accommodations is based on double occupancy. Check-in on the 26th of March, check-out on the 29th. A single ticket for those who wish to only attend the Universal Science Conference, which takes place on March 29th through March 31st, is €1,150, which includes the price of admission plus 4 nights stay in Rome in a 2 single-bed room, as well as breakfast, tea, and lunch on the days of the event. Accommodations is based on double occupancy. Check-in on the 28th of March, check-out on the 1st of April. A 2-person ticket for those who wish to only attend the Universal Science Conference is €2,300, which includes the price of admission plus 4 nights stay in Rome in a hotel room with a king-size bed, as well as breakfast, tea, and lunch on the days of the event. Accommodations are based on double occupancy. Check-in on the 28th of March, check-out on the 1st of April. If you would like to attend and prefer to make your own arrangements for accommodations, the price of admission to either conference is €200 per day. We look forward to meeting you at the Second Universal Science and Council Conferences in Rome, March 27th through 31st, 2017.
Welcome everyone to the 164th Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. And once again, we're here with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation and able to connect with him. And he has lots of information for us today with such news as some news on the solid state generator that the Keshe Foundation is putting out, as well as some pictures and information on some of the activities in Ghana. So I think Mr. Keshe is ready there now, and I think you're even in the studio today, aren't you, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, good morning, good day to you. As usual, whenever and wherever you listen to these teachings. We are back home, back in the teaching room in Valletta, and it's good to be back to where we feel comfortable to teach and easy to share knowledge. As there are many ways of sharing knowledge, we have some news in what, as Keshe Foundation, we've been waiting for. This news has already been shared with the management team of the Keshe Foundation for the past week or so. But now we are ready to share with you in what you stood for, and you stood by us, and you shared knowledge. And in so many ways, collectively as a family, we have progressed to the next step. As we said before, in our 5 months of a stay in Ghana, we brought the technology, the knowledge at a level that is imaginable, is not imaginable in the West. Working directly with officials, for them directly testing and evaluating the technology in different aspects. They supported the technology to be done because this technology is for the world population, is not for the elite. A lot of people saw the Magraph systems in Italy. We produced the Rolls-Royce, the pen at 35 euro, the paint pans 40 euro. In Africa, we cannot do that. The nations, the population cannot support such a thing. So as for the first time is the first factory which we set up, I got personally involved in every step of it. And I've set up a factory for public. I've set up a structure for population for the nation of Ghana. And the government and the officials have responded accordingly. We brought what we did with sharing the patterns and the USB sticks that it had to be in the possession of everyone. We have brought the technology at the reach of everyone. Literally, we are affecting daily life. What we had to do and took time was to get the materials we do understood by the scientific world, by masters in the art of food control as a FDA, as a standard board, which is tougher than FDA, to be able to bring the products into the market that the population could enjoy. In that progress and the sincerity which Benjamin has worked in Ghana for nearly a year and a half, has brought us to a position of high respect, has brought the Keshe Foundation in a position where we have become part of the structure of the change of the nation. I will explain to you, you understand very quickly. We explained to you that as we develop the space for the land, for the Spaceship Institute to open up the first launching pad last Friday, before I leave, the land and the property were started to work on it, and you can see the banner of the Keshe Foundation Ghana. Rick, could you play that, please, if you've got the picture? You see what it says and what it's to do, and it's very clear. Can you hear me, Rick?
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Keshe, I'm just getting it ready here.
Yeah. Can you share with us the banner?
Yeah.
On the stand?
That's set up here, yes. Okay.
What we told you we are doing, now you see the part of it. This is Keshe Foundation Ghana Limited, partnership between Ghana Atomic, which is Government Institute Nuclear Center, and Keshe Foundation. Ghana Materials in spaceship technology. Creating a better tomorrow today in Ghana, and Ghana enters space flight from Accra. This is what we do, but this is not just a poster. Can we have the next picture, please? As we said, we have become part of the Ghanaian structure. The telephone number is there. We have put a tracker on this number. Any calls will be tracked because of the security reasons. And as you can see, we are located in Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. This is the site of the Keshe Foundation. If you look in the background, we released a picture of the site. You can see if you open it up, it says what it is. Ghana University, Atomic Commission, part of the research students, and university, part of the nuclear atomic section of the Ghana government. The building in the background you see is Keshe Foundation building, which we released a few weeks ago. Now we have become, and as you can see, part of the structure of Ghanaian technology, daily life, and that's how we go. You have another picture which I just sent you. You can see the opposite to this site. We have started the construction, survey, and the planning, the topology, how we're going to build. And if you can show the next picture of the land, please, you see the architects and the surveyors are on the land. We promise you, and we are delivering. We have seen no help from no one across Keshe Foundation to develop this, except Ghanaians. What a shame. This land will become the home for the manufacturing, the home for the space flight launch, the home for research and development, and the next sign which is going up on the land requests Ghanaians with minimum masters and PhDs to join the space technology. We have seen the development. There is a map. I'll send you a plan. The rough sketch of what is going to be developed is in that sketch. Can you show it, please? It's done by the architects. We'll release the full pictures in a coming time, the full plan. And as we said, it's going to cost 250 million euro to build this, to bring Ghana launch center, most probably better than NASA in the next 10 to 15 years. We are not investing for tomorrow, we are investing for humanity for the future. As you can see, it says, concept for Keshe Foundation. The spaceship pad, the clinic, this is what the government wanted us to do. We open a clinic and offices, the factory, research center, and the launch pad center. On the left-hand side, across is what you saw, the university. So we teach, we graduate, and we bring back to work on this place. It says, modern space flight station. And this is a huge project. The beauty, the way we set up, it says the main road, because on the right, the top side of the main road, we can be given the same equivalent of land and the same behind a spaceship launch pad. So what we are planning, we have taken the central line that we can build on both sides. We are sitting with government officials, with ministries, The Ghanaian, the special committee in Parliament has taken over, overlooking as governmental side in how this program with the Keshe Foundation is going through. So we have become answerable to parliamentary committee, specialized in science and technology. We respond to the ministers, we respond to presidential office, and this is the way the structure has taken place. Keshe Foundation in this level cannot operate without officials, without government officials, without direct intervention and cooperation between the Keshe Foundation and the government. We are taking this step further, and that is, we are bringing a number of other governments into help. So we are changing it into multinational organization because there are different aspects to it. While I've been away since I left, we've been told scientists who work for NASA are more than happy to join the work. You will introduce them. There are professors, there are high-level research scientists working at NASA, which will join us in a spaceship path in all sorts of developments. So what we are going is what we see. And the strangest thing is, when we explained how the technology is going to be developed, the whole process, can you move this piece from here? Yeah? No, the picture you brought out. Can you go back on the picture, please, on the drawing? Rick?
Which one do you want, Mr. Keshe?
The rough plan you had.
Okay.
You have to understand, to start this project, can you put this down, please? We have chosen a Ghanaian company to do the structure. We are very proud that the whole structure will be done by Ghanaian. Part of our agreement with the architects and the developer is the whole workforce has to be, the structure has to be native. We are not building high-rise buildings. We are building that when you walk in, you can see it. But because of the way we work and where we are, anyone who works with us becomes part of national security protection, which means all the nonsense we had people making calls, we would like to understand from now on, you're dealing with government. You're dealing with high national security, and we are proud to do it. We release it openly. You got to understand, if you look where you see the spaceship path, on the left-hand side of this is where the present factory of the Keshe Foundation is. This is where we are already producing material, and now we have received the report and certification which is coming in for everything we do. Can you please show us the bottles if you can? The products which are certified to go into the market by next week, which already been used across Accra and across Ghana by many people. That's why there's a plan to launch it faster, is what you see. The factory is set up, and these are some of the products you will see. This is how we market the material into Ghana. Waters, all been passed, tested by FDA, by standard board, and it carries the logo of Keshe Foundation Ghana Atomic Commission as Keshe Foundation Ghana Limited. Everything we do gets checked, certified by governmental organization, and now it gets scrutinized by parliamentary scientific organization. You will see these across Accra, across West Africa from next week. now that the certification is completed. People, it's been tested by the scientists that they say in one of the conference meetings we had with the boards of the authorities, one of the scientists who has tested this, he said, this water is so pure that we do not need to bring any more liquids for injection. It's purer than what we bring. So immediately they have found the response in what they used to import does not need to be done. This is how we come. As I said, we started giving the technology to the governments in patent and keys. We brought it to public, and now we bought the products at the level of very small amount of money that people can buy. A mixture of combination certified will bring the effects like diabetic, high blood pressure, and the rest of it. We don't promote anything but changing the structure where the governments spend billions every year for what can be solved with a few dollars, and then changes for good. When you take pharmaceutical materials, you become dependent on it, and the body doesn't change because it's a foreign element forcing. When what we've seen with these kind of technologies is that the way they are produced as part of the structure of the working of the planet, they work within the body as a planet. And then we see eradication of many diseases. We have done tests, and one of the biggest problems in Africa is type 1. And it's taken us 3 days to overcome it. Doctors in the hospitals have taken all the tests, and they've seen it. What is a killing disease or virus now is not there. So in the coming time, we'll release in different shape and form products that affect directly certain diseases. And this is what already been tested. Few thousand people in Ghana at the highest level have been using these on their own accord, and that's why parliamentary committee has been set up by the order of the parliament and the ministries, that they've been told there's a magic thing is kept at the atomic as a secret product, why cannot be in the hand of public? And that's why we are there. We become part of the structure to release these kind of technologies at the cost where you don't have to take insulin, where you don't need to pay with the cost of your arm and leg, and in 3 months, 6 months, you walk away with no diabetic, with no high blood pressure, with no other diseases. We process, we don't treat. And now we have government behind us. They do not care when you have 6 million people with high blood pressure and about the same with diabetic, which is incurable for them. This is a God-given gift because their own people in government have been using it. The beauty of it is them who are taking the technology forward, not us. But now this way, we have brought in the public level. A man cannot lose his arm and leg because there is no solution with diabetic. I lost one of my great uncles to diabetic by amputation of the leg and the rest in a hostel in Tel Aviv a handful of years ago, because there was no cure for him. The last time I met him in Tel Aviv, he was on a wheelchair with legs amputated because of diabetic. If we had this knowledge, no man should lose anything anymore. No arms, no legs. No man should go through a heart attack because of the high blood pressure and the brain hemorrhage. It cost less than $10. I thank the scientists who work at Keshe Foundation Ghana Atomic, and we are proud and we stand by the management of the Keshe Foundation and the management of Ghana Atomic and the Ghanaian government, who has supported us so heavily because they've seen the results. We come to another point. We promised you that we are working on a solid-state power generator. To do this, it took a long time. You all stood by us. What we've done, we have released the first batch of the first phase of solid-state plasma power unit in Ghana. Can you release the picture, please? There are 2 or 3 pictures we have sent you. The reason we've done it this way is to make sure you can see it. Plasma energy unit, logo of the Ghana Atomic, and the plasma in collaboration with it. There's another picture I sent you, please. Can you show the other side of the box? This is got with all the warnings on it, Rick. This is the first phase of the power generator. What we are doing, not to make the problems which we had before when we shared knowledge freely about maglev system, a lot of people use it to attack us. Now we do it. The product is certified that it works what it's supposed to say. It receives a certification, and officials are testing it at their homes. And common people are testing at home. We release 50 this week. By tomorrow, there should be another 120 units be released again. And then we take it and watch. We expect the reduction up to a figure of 90 to 95%. Then we go into the phase 2, which then it brings us to 100% reduction. We still keep it connected to the, what we call power supply. And on what we have tested and we know, we will reach 100% power through plasma in the first 2 weeks. Then 6 units are getting released next week with the second phase, randomly that nobody knows, partially used by our own scientists at Ghana Atomic, which means they will report back on the operation. So the next phase, as we said, will come to carry 100%. That means we just need a signal with a power supply to trigger the system. Then in 3 to 4 weeks' time, we add that to it, that we see full data. If there is any need for changes, we are not doing it to us, but we are doing it in real condition. We release 900 units into public. All the units are in the factory. All the parts and pieces are done, are in the factory. It's not something we're going to do. Then we watch and we release the solid state plasma power generator. It weighs around, at the moment, 500 grams. With the box, it's about 1 kilo. You can, if you remember the picture which we showed, you can do whatever you like with it. It's a solid state. So you can understand that there is no possibility of damage. We have taken in test every precaution that any man in the jungles of Ghana or in the high-rise blocks of Accra can use it. All you need to do, where you see the plug inside, you plug that into the block of the house and you connect one item of the house into it, which we advise preferably to be a fridge because it's the only thing which stays constantly going. If you don't have a fridge, the system backup will support itself. This is the beauty of it. We promise you, we do it. Research at this level doesn't come overnight. Research to bring plasma energy units which are independent units, has been the dream of mankind. Now we are delivering it. It's been developed, and I thank the whole of Keshe Foundation support team. I thank more or less any of you who've been around us. We will market this in a different way in different parts of the world, and we announce today that what we have planned in conjunction with a number of other programs which are running to set up 600 factories around the world in the coming 2-3 years, which means we control all products from A to Z with support of the Keshe Foundations. We are not going to ask anyone to set up the Keshe Foundation manufacturing. We set it up. The Keshe Foundation, with the support of governments, national governments, will set up the factories very much like now when Toyota invests in US, Toyota carries the whole title and the work. But we are looking to employ and bring in Keshe Foundation supporters to be part of the structure of the new factories. In the past, we asked, and a lot of people came, they wanted to set up factories. And then we saw the problems which raised. Now, the structure is that one by one, the factories get set up, is 100% owned through the Keshe Foundation organizations and partnership, which means we develop all our technologies through governmental organizations. We don't go to public or negotiations. The way it's planned is government to government. It's governmental investment. And with it, we recommend Keshe Foundation supporters to apply for a job. This is where we're coming. We will announce a number of these national companies. Most probably but mid-May, we should be ready. It'll be done in a way that we see the technologies shared equally across the world. Keshe Foundation supporters, those of you who are in working with different plasmas, with different nanotechnologies, a list in the new website of the Keshe Foundation to be released, I think in the next few days. Good morning, Giovanni. How are you? So it'll be released. We go factory by factory. We release what we need, and you can apply for. Do not forget, everything will be done through national securities. You'll be screened and everything else which goes with it. This is how 5 months, a year, we have gone around to develop. We have the factory in Italy selling Rolls-Royce. We have factory across the board serving minis and the scooters. But both those who want it in luxury, they can buy it from Italian. We will not repeat the same product as Italy again, because it was initially done, as I said many times, to prove the technology works and prove the technology can get certified. The pen received the C certification. The alkalizer received the C certification. The paint pad received the certification. Now the liquid, which is the GaNs plasma, has received certification through organizations which are accepted by international FDA. So for us, we've gone through, we'll carry on through, and we keep to our promise. What you see is the phase 1 of the solid state power generator. We are not putting it in the market. Those of you, hundreds of you, whatever, who applied and paid for the generator, give us a chance. It's getting tested. We'll show the results as a data in the coming weeks, because we have asked all the ones who received the units to report in the first 2 weeks on the daily basis and on the weekly basis on the reduction, the performance, for us to understand how long we need to keep the systems running in the factory, that when we put it out, immediately is applicable, you can use it. You see, it's an English plug. Ghana is an English-speaking part of the Commonwealth, and everything is British standard. We meet all the standards with this. We will not sell goods out of Ghana because we have targeted. We know we have to produce approximately 10,000 units per week in the next 3 to 6 months to meet the national demand. And with it, we invest in different countries to be part of the same production. The beauty with this is we do not put limitation. It's not a 5 kilowatt, it's not a 10 kilowatt. It's the kilowatt you need and the wiring in the house has been designed for. You're not buying anymore a 2 or 3 kilowatt power supply. You're buying demand on load. As long as the wiring in the house can take the demand, you can load it. We are not this is what it's getting tested for. That we are not setting, we are not promoting, we are not releasing a power generator, we are releasing a plasma power unit, which means it has to meet the demand. We think, according to what we see, 10 kilowatt is the maximum load any house can carry. American or Middle Eastern organizations which use this system, they look around about 15 kilowatt because they have a heavy usage on air conditioning. So there is no limit. This is what we said. The energy is taken from the universe, will be there at man's disposal. The back to this, why we're doing this, is a sweet song to the ear of John and Armand. It means we do not need any more battery system. We can, and this technology completed in its totality, which is on the table now, allows the spaceship to be launched without connection to any power supply on Earth. This is the reason for it. This is the beauty of it. It makes us and allows us to become man of space without dependence on the Earth. We don't need to connect, as we do now, our motors to a power supply or a battery. It's a plasma supply. It supplies the reactors on a plasmatic level, which makes life much easier for our researchers. So what you will see is the simplicity of the technology is taken thousands of years for man to reach this stage. We are heading it. We have developed it, and this will show how the next step development will come. Let us go back on understanding of what the plasma is. Do you have any more pictures to share with us, Rick?
I think that's it on what you had there, Mr. Keshe, and
Okay.
I'll have immediately.
If you look, we have discussed, and we've been discussing in the past teachings, in the past few weeks, now that we are moving towards plasma technology, that how do we measure MAGRAF? How do we measure units? Measuring units has been one of the problems or one of the criterion that we had to understand. As some of you know, I came back from Ghana over the weekend, and the next day we went to Romania. We just came back late last night with Giovanni from Romania. We met a scientist about a year ago in Valletta, a very, what I call, a stubborn scientist. When he came here last year, he wanted to know what MAGRAF was, and he wanted to put a formula to it. And we had the pleasure to have a hackle with him till about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, the first day of our arrival. And he made sure he's the last person we see before we get on the plane yesterday, coming back from Romania. We gave a lecture to about 200-300 scientists, doctors, and the rest yesterday in Bucharest. And it was a pleasure to see them, to spread the knowledge, and to see how they are more well educated than us in plasma technology, but through the soul of the man. And I saw an amazing formulas in front of me. This man is a professor in Bucharest University, and he teaches plasma technology on Keshe Foundation as a degree course in the university. So if you want to understand now the university in Bucharest, you can study the Maghreb plasma unit as a degree university course. There are 5 courses they teach. And in that process, in past year, since we met him, he has looked at every aspect of the knowledge of man in plasma, in electron, in transfer of fields, and we are coming up to a point that in a short time, we will be able to deliver a formula for measurement of Maghrebs, that we know what we receive as gravitational, what we leave as magnetical. And in a hot discussion, as usually goes with the people of no knowledge like us about the world of space, we came out with a lot of misunderstanding and understanding, and the stubbornness of what it should be and what it should not be, because when we lay the formulas down, it will last for the life of man. So, since I met him 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday night, or Tuesday morning, early hours of Tuesday morning, I said to him, you are making the same mistake as Einstein and the rest of the scientists. Einstein has put the thing down the wrong way, but you have to get rid of assumptions. Can I have a whiteboard, please? The strangest thing is, can I have the whiteboard? The strangest thing is, he was tangled by the mass of an atom and the energy of the atom and energy of a photon. It could not be done because Einstein has made a massive mistake limiting energy, as we all know, to but now we know mass will stay constant. In a spaceship we travel, the mass cannot be changed because it's like a star, it's like a planet. It will be kept steady. Even if we load another 1 million people on it, it will change very little. We add to the inertia, but not to gravitational field. So to complete part of the energy equation, there is a biggest problem, which is the speed of the travel or the speed of the motion of the gravitational magnetic field. This brings us to stop any mistakes to be made, to redefine the speed of light. But now we call it the speed of plasma. It has to be done that way. So if we start evaluating the whole structure, there is a need for a new understanding. I gave this formula to the scientists. I said, if you're work in a real condition. On a back of piece of paper yesterday after the conference, I said, this is the way you got to go to be able to do it. What does it mean? We have to consider the speed of the plasma at the spectrum of the whole plasma. If you look at it, very simply, this is the C. But we have to see where the strength lies. We have to understand that we are dealing with plasma. So I have rewritten the speed of plasma in this way, and hopefully we see what comes from the other scientists. So from now on, we call it the speed of plasma. We don't consider it as a speed of light because light can be created at any state of the plasma in the universe. Now, we have to redefine the next step. If the speed of plasma at a given strength is considered, let's say, like A, so we call it at A, has a factor order with it, which we call it K. It's the order of magnitude of the plasma. So it can be K 1,000 in respect to what you make a standard. If you make the speed of light as a standard that we understand the minimum matter state of man, the K can be 1,000. But compared to the reference point of the speed of light in the matter state for human being. In the future, when we modify this, we understand the order of magnitude will have to have two characteristics, or made of two parts, because you have an interaction. A plasma, a field, cannot travel on its own. It has to have a point. It is greater to or smaller. Either way you want to look at it. A plasma, a field, a magnetic field only travels if it has a companion. This takes the order of magnitude in not 4 dimensions, but 8 dimensions, because each one of these has 4 of itself and 2 of them interact. So we have to consider 8 parameters. Then in that parameter, we have to consider the following: the gravitational and the magnetical. This is how the new equation in respect to the energy of the plasma at any point in the universe has to be considered. We cannot take it to be only on its own. We have to take it in the direction we travel, which we targeted. We create a gravitational and magnetic field to be pulled into or be repelled. So if we rewrite and understand in so many ways the speed of the travel, the speed of the plasma has to carry all these within it. So we make this as the new standard till we can add to it or correct it. This way, we don't make any assumptions. Einstein, to reach this formula E equal mc squared, he has made huge assumptions, all assumptions, because he wanted to prove something, which led to mankind to more mistakes than the past. So when we get the final formula, we understand that the mass will be the total mass balance between gravitational magnetic field, if you read book 1, and then with the speed that mass in respect to the environment is working on. So in so many ways, we have written the first line of formulas, the first line of characteristics of any plasma. In so many ways, what is A here, it has a companion somewhere else, which is B, which is matching to, traveling to, or walking away, or finding its own speed. A space scientist, nuclear physicists now find out some of the problems we had with Planck, some of the problem we had with photons, with this equation, with this understanding gets solved. Then there is no assumption. There is no assumption that we are talking in what language. Everything is plain. Everything has to be considered in a world of space travel. You make an assumption, and your assumption is wrong, you're doomed. You have to Scientists like the professor we met, and I know there are a number of scientists around the world working on this, they find this equation, this understanding of the speed redefines the whole world of physics and energy. It's a simple understanding of mankind, of the speed of the motion in the direction which goes. We cannot see a plasma unless it's in motion or is interacting, is getting pulled to or is moving away from one string to join another. We cannot bullet shoot. We cannot leave it to be left on its own to where it goes. You have to understand what this speed of plasma brings to the spaceship program, because it's part of its structure, it's part of its understanding, it's part of its operation. What does this mean? It's very simple. This is what I explained to the professor. In the aircraft of today, the only way we see jetliner is seeing the craft, and we see what you like to call it is chemtrail. In the space technology, in the work of the spaceship program, the story is different, totally different. Where in the world of space, the spaceship program, where the sign of existence a plane has passed is on its tail. In the space technology, the craft sits on the tail of the light you see. It's totally opposite. You always travel in the depth of the plasma, which is already its interaction with its destination. You travel with the speeds which you set according to the strength of which part of the plasma you choose. So it dictates the speed which you travel. When you see a light ahead, you have to look on the tail where the spaceship is. Where now, when you see a chemtrail, you look at the front, if it's a jumbo jet or is it any other kind of plane. So with a new formula we set up, we dictate the position of arrival of A at B, and then we understand that this formula is and becomes applicable and dictates the speed of the travel, where you have to consider A and B on both. I have spent many years to complete this. You got to understand, as a scientist who work, we have a beautiful control system, where the destination being a planet, being a star, being a galaxy, be it a mass plasma condition which supports life we want to go to, has to have the characteristics which this stays always the same, and the point of destination can be a planet or a star or a rendezvous somewhere in the space. With this understanding of the speed of plasma and understanding why we need it, the scientists now can develop the next stage of understanding of the spaceship program. We have no choice, because partially this will affect the magnetic gravitational field protection zone, which you set around your craft too is not a one-way traffic, is you have to have a calculation for your protection. In the craft, you can continuously change A or B, but your destination is more or less fixed. But at the same time, you don't want to lose your protection, and you want to create a condition of approach where you come as fast as possible. But when you approach in a space, there is no brakes. It's not to put the thing on reverse thrust. All you need to do, you reverse, you measure the strength of the magnetical field of the planet, and you create gravitational field according to the strength of your own reactor. So you come to a halt at the speed of light. You can take off at the speed of light. And the point where the gravitational and magnetic field of the system in respect to its destination or the position comes into operation, you usually see a flashing light on the atmospheric condition. Go back and look at many videos, especially what you see in Jerusalem on Christmas Day. That was one of the perfect systems in definition. You see the craft, a switch, a flashing light, and it takes off. That confirms the system is a flying object, and that's the only way it will react. As you call it, the pilot changes the gravitational into magnetical in respect to his system, in respect to the Earth condition, you get a balance, interaction, a fusion of the fields in what you call plankton level to the eye of the man, that you see a photon on that level, and then you see a vertical liftoff. As I've said in many of the talks before, a pilot who takes such an action takes a lot of risk in the atmospheric condition. But you have to look into the nearest star or planet or the moon which the pilot decided to interact with. If in the future people look at the way that craft takes off and can pinpoint moon or another star or whatever which is on the horizon of his life, moon is too close for these kind of things. It's like you're traveling at the speed of 100 kilometers and trying to stop in 10 meters. It's impossible. So you have to look in destination, the point of the travel, where the pilot has dictated his position of reference. A man in the future, when he takes these positions, will understand the connection with incapacity of our present electronic and electrical system to control such a flight. Then you understand such changes are only applicable, the same as what we said in the evolution of the man, that you can change your skin to become your protection. The pilot, through the emotion to understanding, controls everything, and he has already pre-planned possible a planet, possible a star, possible a galaxy, which gives him the escape route. In some of the space technologies of the future, these kind of crafts, when they approach, or when you are yourself part of it, you approach, you make one thing sure. You leave a hook in the space that you can anchor to, that you can place yourself in. Don't forget, it's not the size which counts anymore. If you place a system the size of a pinball with the power of a galaxy in a certain position, it's your point of reference to go to. is your salvage, is your protection. You do not need to pinpoint to a star or a moon. You have already hooked yourself into it, and your system continuously keeps in respect to it. So it's very much like a spider who lives a little bit on the ceiling, and he hangs himself, and when there is a danger, it goes up there. The little string is already made. This is what you will develop. This is what it'll be. In Rome conference, Armand will show the next step of the space reactors. He has made one of the most gorgeous systems up to now. You will see the initial step development of space reactors. We can produce miniature power supplies that make him independent. He has developed a way for himself with a battery, which I saw this morning, is fantastic. But you will see the first interaction of the space reactors. Then you understand, you keep a constant speed of the interaction in a way between your own system, if you understand this new link of calculating. The space travel in a coming time will become a game for those who understand the work of the universe and not in the matter state. Those who understand the interactions and not the final line of approach. In so many ways, as we have started teaching and bringing in so many ways all aspects of the space technology together, those of you who work or understand, or those of you, as we saw last week, started bringing tools to measure it. Now, as I said, nothing comes a day earlier, nothing comes a day later. Everything with the foundation and the work of what we do, because we are here to serve humanity, will come exactly the time it has to be. The professor walks in, he says, I've got you the formula, I can measure. A gentleman walks in with a gadget last week, which will give him a platform to teach us more, for us to understand. You've got to realize one thing, as I said in the lecture yesterday in Bucharest. We are not here to teach, we are here to inspire. If we teach, it becomes sacrosanct and people follow. We inspire, the total collection of the knowledge of the man comes into operation. Because then, this is how we evolve to understand more. We evolve to be open in the understanding of us is not the final. Is there a problem? Or, pardon, you want to check?
There is a problem with the audio, Mr. Keshe. It's fading in and out, and then it comes back in loud again.
Okay, I think it's to do with the battery. Is the battery full? No. Are you sure? Are you sure with it?
Perhaps it's the auto mic settings in Zoom you have there.
It's number 2. It usually goes weak at this. If you have any more? Yes. Okay, while you get it, I'll do it. So what we see is to understand the new operation of the spaceship program. We inspired you since Christmas to understand the operation of it in yourself. Now we mix in different ways the science of space with the measurement, science of space in what they said it needs tools to write the equations, which a lot of you would like to have, that you can confirm something is right, does not apply in your brain. Your soul, your emotion does not have a measurement tool. I'm going off for a second to change the batteries, please. Hello? Hello?
Yes, hi.
We can.
Yep,
We are
we
back.
hear.
Okay. Is it better now?
You'll have to
Um,
keep talking to test.
Can you test it? Is it okay?
Sounds a little
far, so
fuzzy.
good.
Sound a bit what?
I think a little fuzzier than it was before, but let's try it and see.
Let's try and see it. I'll put the system in my upper pocket next to my heart. Maybe it gets inspiration. So what we see is how we are developing the space science through collection of the work of different scientists around the world. This is how it should be. This is how it will be. Sharing unconditionally. I have asked the professor to release his work as he's lecturing in his university, the plasma technology, to teach us as part of the teaching. So what we're going to see is plasma physicists or people who can measure and understand. We open a section as we've done with the medical, with agriculture. In a coming time, we open a section for space travel and understanding of the science of space by those who are involved. Do not forget, we have a number of scientists around the world who've been working around this work. Now, we have put, and we just try to not to make the mistakes of the past to condition. A thought and understanding like this solves a lot of problems for the future scientists, because they work in different dimensions. As a nuclear physicist, when we used to do measurements for different aspects, we used to work in 7, 8, and 9 dimensions. Now, this brings 10, 12 dimensions. For those who want to understand how the space, each reactor, each core responds to the other. Because this is not just for a space travel. In your star formation, you have the same problem. You need to understand the work in so many ways of the flow of the plasma, depending on the direction of the flow, gravitational or magnetic. And then all this has to be considered. Then when you've done that, you have to consider the size of the plasma, the strength of the plasma at the point of delivery and at the point of receiving it. The science of space technology will bring the leading thinkers in the world of freedom of space. When doctors will start working on systems or the part of manufacturing systems for health, they will consider this, they understand what this means, what energy they need to deliver to be able to empty a virus from its energy. What energy that virus carries, that they can overcome it, not to feed it to become bigger. In a way, create near enough, but below that depletes the energy. In a way, now your spaceship is the energy of the virus, and your target is what you create as a reactor. The whole understanding of the science, of the physics, of the structure of the space travel takes a new meaning when it comes. As I said before to other scientists, when you come, I enlighten. When I start putting this formula down for the professor, he said, it makes sense. He understands. At the beginning, it was very hard because his upbringing and his education said the speed of light is ultimate. But now that he understood the other parameters he has ignored, the point of approach, the interaction balance of the two, which creates all sorts of complications. You got to understand something which is very important. If you get your gravitational wrong at the point of approach, you will not mass 100 kilo, you mass 1,000,000 kilo, because you're absorbing so much gravitational field that as you go, gravitation minus magnetical gives you the mass. You crash into the space of the wherever you're going. So in so many ways, this has become very relevant in the science of understanding. If you get it wrong and you absorb more magnetical, that it becomes part of your gravitational, excuse me, sir, your approach will release a different strength, receiving different, and God help you where you land. This is important, that you don't allow in approach the zone of your interaction, what you call the shielding, to be overcome. You can approach a stand few millimeters off the ground, off the surface of wherever you want to land, but never touch. This, if you understand, gives you, when you understand how to operate through your soul in protection of your body, how, what you need to prepare yourself through your emotion, that you land, you can walk on the planet with the physicality of the destination. Those of you who understand past 5 or 10 minutes of teaching, I have opened your eyes in the truth about the space travel, about what you have to consider, in about what is the next step, in about how the next step shall be. The problem is not the totality, but collective comprehension of the entirety work of the universe. It'll take time. It will take many thousands of years of man's lifetime to comprehend a grain of knowledge in a mountain of the universal understanding. This is the beginning, a tip of an iceberg in what is to come. As I said, when a man is ready, we teach more. And when one is ready, we teach enough that the others can be enlightened. In a coming time, you will see the professor teaching in these sessions, in the public knowledge sessions, that he can inspire in what he sees, that those scientists in the space technology or in the plasma technology can and will develop further. The beauty of it is we work with military. We have invited military to be as part of the Keshe Foundation because they can provide us with a lot of facilities which the governments have a problem with. I find it easier to deal because they have their own military runways, they have their own military sea space, and they have their own land mass to test for us. So you will see huge collaboration between the Keshe Foundation, not only with the governments, but with the military forces of the nations. We work through governments in sharing knowledge. We work through military to expand the horizon of the space, landing, testing, and the rest. This is how we bring the military forces to work together for the expansion of the space, use of the land, and change of the sea conditions for betterment of humanity. You will see very rapid development in collaboration between the Keshe Foundation and military forces around the world at the highest level, with the way we start with the government, that we can test. They have a lot of resources, which now is used what you call for hardware, will become knowledgeableware, which means we can use the man of research in military to become part of the research into a spaceship, because they see what they bought as military crafts are useless toys, because now, as we've seen with the American system, with what we saw in 2012 with the capture of the spy plane, what we saw with the Russian May a couple of years ago with the, what we call the ship, Donald Duck, turned out to be. This technology gives a warning from now on to the world leaders, and that is, the knowledge is in the hand of all nations and in the hand of all the militaries. In a way, the way we are going and the way we are at this moment, we are allowing the armies to disarm themselves and arm themselves with the sharing of the knowledge and work together in that way. I said many times, man finds a way to escape. I find the man to become subordinate to peace. And this is what we'll carry. The way you will see in Rome, hopefully Arman will be with us with it. If they don't sabotage anything, you will see the first stages of the correction. As I said yesterday in Romania, we cannot keep so much silent about it, because now they know. I was proud to be in Romania after some 20-odd years. The last time I was there, it was just by the overthrow of Ceausescu. And yesterday, seeing so many scientists, so many doctors, and what I said to them, I repeat. I am relinquishing my position as a Keshe Foundation head. In a way, I'm there as a guidance. And as many of you know, we have changed and we are putting new people with the capability to handle the totality of the work of the Keshe Foundation. As I said in Romania, and you all know, we keep on telling you that we have changed the management team of the Keshe Foundation at the head. We could not offer the job of heading the Keshe Foundation to no one more competent than Ella. She's been heading the Keshe Foundation, the first woman to head the foundation since December. And you see the changes which she has brought in. And Romanians were proud that the Keshe Foundation, in essence, is headed by a woman, and secondly by a Romanian. She is an asset to the foundation, and in a coming time, you'll understand. The other side of the Keshe Foundation, management in education has gone to Jackie from Switzerland. And we've seen, since he's taken over, how it's done. The space program is headed by Armin. This gives me a free chance to be able to not only be involved with the research and different aspects, but allows, as a man of technocrat, to be able to negotiate with governments, to bring them together with a free hand, knowing competent people in the background are running the whole affairs. Keshe Foundation Board of Management meets on a regular basis, and we all know how each one has participated in different ways. What we call the webmaster team with Vince, with in so many ways capable hands of Vernie as a security, webmaster security, and Stanley as a parallel head of the Keshe Foundation webmasters. We will see changes which will come. This week, hopefully within the next few days, you will see Keshe, KF, Wiki, and Plasma Wiki will come. They've been trying to do it, that they'll be ready by the conference. The Keshe Foundation new look will come into operation, hopefully by the opening of the conference. Is what they do, is their decision, and as the head of the sections, they have taken the whole structure to a new level. The wiki and the medical aspects is shared across, headed by Klaus, and we see a new management operation collectively to bring everything to be visual, to be in a way where we can deliver. We have stood a lot of harsh time in achieving what we achieved, and now the good times in sharing knowledge has come. So as you will see, I step down, but collectively trying to be a guideline for what we need to do and what to come. But the management has totally changed, and you will see changes. And in so many ways, it could not be done with one man. It was too much, and we saw we will suffer in different ways. We will carry on the development, but we will show systems. And you will see mixture of achievement, of knowledge gain, of the way we share knowledge, and we invite you to join the Keshe, or what is called KF Wiki or Plasma Wiki, to share knowledge. We don't look for anything else but participation in knowledge. The whole structure will be based collectively how we share the knowledge of plasma, the knowledge of work of spaceship program, the ethos of the spaceship program. I thank Dr. Rodriguez, Your Excellency, in taking steps to bring together the 6 members of the World Council will be responded to, and you will have your own website, you will have your own Zoom to operate as an independent world government organization. The same is on the wings for Universal Council. This way, we do not interfere with the work of the World Council, and they are appointed by continents. So you can reach what we call the world government through each continent, as they are equal, and as we know most of the 6, their work, their participation, and they will participate and will release all their messages and their wishes and their work linked to different websites of the Keshe Foundation around the world, translated simultaneously, that no nation falls behind in understanding what is the wish of the world government. At the same time, what we are doing in the background is setting the world police force. This is in a structure is getting set up. We are converting the men of military to men of police force. They, in due time, will bring peace to humanity, and in one way, they will bring the world leaders answerable to people. They cannot be exclusivity for those who abuse at the point when they are the decision makers. You will see in the coming time, the world police force will bring and will have the power to bring to justice the world leaders who have done wrong, according and openly, the way we've done with World Council. We know, and in the coming time, will appoint one of the most well-known, in a way, military men to head the new police force. On the banking side, we are on target to release a new concept of equality for understanding of finances. This brings a lot of insight in what we do. As I said before, and in many talks, we have to understand, we have to bring a minimum point that everybody is equal financially. At the moment, the minimum point is the most bankrupt nation with maximum debt, which means if we all give the same amount of financial support to be as bankrupt as the most bankrupt of all of us, then we can all start from a common denominator. The example of this, if you look what we are working in the background for financial affairs to be set correct, every child born in the United States roughly has 65,000 US dollar debts on his shoulder. So we make the most bankrupt nation as a common denominator poverty line. Because if another nation common point of death is 60,000, so we have to give them 5,000 US dollars to make them as bankrupt of United States citizens, that we are all the same. So what happens in the structure we are looking at is very simple. In Ghana, the national debt per person is somewhere here. It's just about $1,000. So in the balance of the books, we have to finance every citizen of Ghana, for example, to become as bankrupt as the United States. They have to receive 64,000 equivalent in support, that we always start from the same point. So now you see when you put the figures down, the most advanced nation in the world is the most bankrupt. So we have to all become bankrupt, that we all can grow together. Now you see how we are working the structure of the world government. Now we understand those who stole or forced their way now have to stay where they are till we all become the same. But how we will finance this and how we'll bring this into operation will be discussed in the coming weeks after our meeting with some world leaders and understanding of the operation. If you are a member of society who speaks Indian or Hindu, and you are at 2,000, for example, national debt per capita, you receive 64,000. There is no need for man to sleep on the street of Delhi. But you have to understand what is to come, what is the change. With the new plasma technology, you do not need to live in center of the mayhem. You don't need to live or be forced to live in the center of New York and pay so heavily for rent that you just got to work to keep a shelter and maybe some food on the table. A lot of you have seen pictures of poverty-stricken people in India sleeping on the roads. But they never show you, it's a winter time, come with me to Chicago. Beggars sleep by a cup of coffee in McDonald's and spend the whole day sleeping and living inside McDonald's shops, keeping away from the frost, keeping away from death. Those of you who've been to Chicago know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've been to Washington, D.C., on the right-hand side of the Washington, what you call the White House, is a very black street. Not less than half a kilometer, maybe less, people sleep naked in winter, and in the morning they find frosted body. I've seen the body when I was in Washington. So we cover the poverty, what we call in English, with a fur coats and no knickers. The truth is, as a human race, we all suffer. But some have managed to cover it up with the cameras, where exposing the others to be wrong. Now we are all wrong, and we have all to put it right together. I would love to know how many pictures of people cleaning rubbish bins to have food to eat in center of Manchester. For 7 years going to center of Manchester library, I cried for them. They look for the pieces of meat which is left on the bone of the chicken, bought from one of the well-known chain shops, because there is nothing else. No cameraman puts it there, because you cannot show the West has achieved riches through robbing the others. So you understand the need for a new cycle, a new understanding, a new structure for a World Bank, what we call the universal bank. That is correct by every man. We should not allow those who are in power to siphon the wealth of a nation into their private accounts and their families and their supporters, for the nation to become bankrupt worse when they leave. We should not allow people fight on a position of lies, but on a position of delivery of the technologies and the way they can change life. This is the job of the Universal Council and the World Council, and setting up of the World Police Force and the World Universal Banking System, where we bring justice. As we share more knowledge, you understand how I am setting up the whole structure. I showed you a bottle of water. Less than $1 or $2 can eradicate diabetic. It can eradicate high blood pressure. It can eradicate cancer and the rest of it. Where in the Western world, you pay $150,000, $200,000 for the same thing over your time, and you don't have insurance policy, you die because of the diabetic. Now, a man in New York with no money or the wealth of the world will have the same position as the man in Ghana, be the minister or a man on the street or the security guard. It's fantastic. When you walk around Ghana Atomic Commission, our protectors, the police, the military, and what we call the security services which protect us, they all suffer from all sorts of diseases. Pay is not good, but they walk into the factory of the Keshe Foundation, they are given the material, and days later they come back, they say, now we can live. We've seen men with what you call the burns, the damaged tissues with diabetic, which could not march, could not be part of what they were, and a few weeks later, instead of waiting for the amputation and everything else, they are marching on the fields of the Ghana Atomic protecting us. It's so cheap to give life back if you understand the truth about the way we should work. Pharmaceuticals will suffer heavily through this technology, but it's not mine anymore, because you can go on any site of the Keshe Foundation. It tells you how you can overcome diabetic if you can make it. But a lot of people don't understand what to do it. We do it, instead of charging millions, we charge enough that we can support the rest of research, but a few dollars. You got to understand, we are bringing change at every level till which we reach together. It's very much, we're coming from different roads into the same roundabout. And that's the roundabout of peace. If we can bring the military, if we can bring the scientists to develop the next steps of the spaceship program, where we can bring a world, what we call police force, that universal force will force man not to be wrong, but those who do wrong, show them how it should have been. Do we have to punish these world leaders? This is the decision of the world government and the Universal Council. Are we going to make the mistakes of the cries, tooth for a tooth, eye for an eye, or are we going to work in the work of the universal system, which is to elevate them, that the soul will not accept the physicality in the condition of their existence? The process is simple. We are entering next week 5 days of meeting of the Universal Council. We invite the Universal Council members who are present and who will be present on the line, and the members of the World Council on the meeting. Last time we encouraged many to come. This time the plan is we don't want too many to come. We want them to connect through their souls, that collectively their wish becomes their work. We saw in the last conference what came in the second day of conference in respect to Syria. We see the next step of the wishes of the World Council. I am setting up the structure which not only takes man into a universal community, but brings peace amongst man on this planet. That they're all equal and they're all treated the same. We don't need a rogue officer to write whatever he likes to serve his masters. The process has to change. We have no choice, because what we've done up to now has not solved the problem, and it's getting worse. And to get worse, we use any trick and tactic, call it terrorism, call it whatever, that you can get what you like. The police officer in Belgium has made me a terrorist, because the Interpol says, if you are a terrorist, why they let you go free? Because he's a rogue. He has done so many murders. So he got away with it up to now. But now the world police force does not accept it. They've done whatever they like. Now we see one man creating mayhem across the internet, because covering up how they steal things, and they've done, they're used to it. Everybody else is wrong now. We have to do it to keep the status quo, that we can steal more from scientists and the others and threaten them and God knows bully them. These things will come to an end. And it has to come to an end that the man can go to the next step. The process is simple. Develop as many technologies, develop as many sciences in the plasma, and share it. As I said in the conference yesterday, the more you share, the more you receive, and you'll find out in receiving more, the more peace you find in your existence. You all made a huge mistake, and I watch. The mistake you made is what you cried for, and when we gave it to you, you turned your back. A few weeks ago, I gave you the opportunity to, what you cried, give us the patent, you shared it with the governments, and you don't give it to the people. When we gave it to you, you did exactly what the governments did. When we shared the MAGRAPH system, testing it again, you did the same thing. You took a run, and a lot of you went around making a lot of things with it. When you were successful, you did not bring it back, because you thought, if I report, they can go to my whatever government and I have to pay taxes. We offered you in past few weeks to participate in the establishment and building of the Spaceship Center in Ghana, and you all paid a deaf ear. And you thought you're very clever. But I play my game different. Last time I came from the government to the man, and you all shouted. Now this time I'll take you back, because of what you've done, into the hand of the government. And then you cannot blame anybody. When I cannot raise the finances to build the space center, I have to go to the governments and the people who have, and their decisions will affect your position. It's very simple. Freedom has to come from the state of the soul of the man, not by the cheating of the man. A lot of you walked away from what we gave you, and you thought, as we say in English, That's their problem. I've got away with it. But now you find out you have to find and balance the books. Now you have to understand all these high-rise flats, all these millions of dollars apartments, in the coming time, as I said a few years ago to one of the world leaders, will worth nothing because you can live in jungles of Africa and go to work in New York in a few minutes. Do you want to spend your lifetime working to pay the rent and eat little? Or do you want to live a life of freedom, share your knowledge and your effort, and pay very little? Because now with this technology, you'll be able to build your own home anywhere you like. What has become the forces of this planet, that having a shelter has become the luxury of the bankers. Now the bankers will see the biggest crisis in their world. If you thought you saw the crash of the property market a few years ago in the United States, this crash will come across the planet on major cities. The time is very short, maybe a couple of years, maybe 5 years. You do not need to work your life to have a shelter and live in absolute poverty that you can keep a shelter. The banks can keep the properties which they own and nobody wants to have. Now you understand the changes to come. What they used to enslave man with pieces of the space in the air on the 100th floor for $10 million. Now that the space is free for them, for their structure to be left for the birds to live in. The man will not take the burden. When you can have pure food as energy, that you do not need to work 50 weeks a year to have 2 weeks holidays, you work 2 weeks a year and you have 50 weeks of holidays because you serve your purpose. The changes are very rapid. Now that we have broken into the governmental level in 2 or 3 governments, which we especially don't announce, that we keep you focused on where you want you to be till we finish our job, then you understand what we are doing. I especially kept the whole Worker Foundation on attention on one of the biggest criminals, that while they're busy, we can work our way, and you've seen what we have achieved. We keep them busy with whatever they want to do, while in the background we establish what we want to establish to bring world peace and world government, and taking man into deeper space through a spaceship program. You got to understand, to be able to bring 7 billion human beings to work together is an art, and I am a master in it. When you change the whole position that there is no contamination by man, and you bring peace to yourself, you do not damage the planet. Then the fish, the lion, and the bird live a peaceful life. I don't have to be frightened as a bird to cross over a country that I get shot to become a food of another man. I become a bird to be free to live amongst man with a total freedom. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, while we were going on a trip in a car, we saw the bird which is very well known as the bird which brings new babies. And it was sitting and nesting on top of a lamppost just after the last house in the village. Not in wilderness, but amongst people, knowing that it will not be touched, because nobody has ever tried to eat him. Because in the food chain, he has no worth for the man. It doesn't taste right. The texture is not what we are used to. And what do we call them? They bring children in a basket in most of the Western world.
You mean a stork or
Yes.
a pelican or
Yes.
stork, I think.
Yes. It was beautiful to see a stork on the lamppost with his nest, with his baby on it, at the end of the village as we passed through. That's how it should be for all the birds, even the man. Free to nest and free to be, but knowing in his freedom he has everything he needs. Food, shelter, and he decides to live in the middle of a city or in the freedom of a desert or in the jungle. Now you understand how we're going. In one session, we start teaching you everything from the science in the depth of the knowledge of the man, in the working, how we're planning to execute, in how we set up the factories and the space center that we can fly from, and now we see the collaboration of the scientists. This is how it should be. It's taken years, but it's not me who's delivering it. It's us as the workers, as the supporters of the Keshe Foundation worldwide. I'm just a name. You are the arms and the legs. Without working together, we cannot achieve. And the biggest problem for us is this. How not to lie to ourselves that the most bankrupt nation in the world is the most powerful nation in the world. If it was me, 65,000 debts and build up every day for another few thousand, the bank will foreclose on me. Who's foreclosing on the United States? No one but us by our behavior. Inciting war, inciting conflict does not help. As I said many times, we send a message to Israeli leader, Mr. Netanyahu, for peace between Iran and Israel. His national security officer came back, the response is, anyone but you, Mr. Keshe. And I said, I know why. Because he knows I carry the banner of truth and he will yield to peace talk. Because he understands. So avoiding each other does not solve the problem. Facing to understand that the money does not worth and how we reorganize ourselves is the next plan. And as I said, I'm a herder. I know how to bring the herd home safe and sound. In so many ways, try to expand the knowledge now in understanding the work of the soul. Try to understand what has been taught in past few weeks since January, that not only allows you through emotion to become the controller, but as we see last week and this week, scientists start making sense of it. Now, you have to look at the totality. The way we look at the totality of being correct in calculating every aspect of the equation, we have to consider every aspect of human life on this planet and beyond to be correct. How do we interact? How do we understand each other? Do we need a voice to understand each other, or do we understand the language of the soul? And this is where it comes very, very effective. In the yesterday meeting in Romania, I sit and I watch 200 or 300 people, but they're looking at one man. And the interesting point is, when you talk to people at this level, you see every one of them takes 1 point from the top, and they're happy to be able to understand at least part which touches them. Now, a lot of us have to do a lot of talking, correct, sharing knowledge through the soul, that we all are happy to have a point of connection and interaction. Now that we have set up the structure of the Space Center, what called the spaceship in Accra, our next target is bringing the world governments together. But through understanding and the work of military, the military forces do not become the defender of a section, but they become the defender of the humanity from those who do wrong. And in time, when the totality of the man changes, there shall be no room for them either. But there is step-toe in the steps of the humanity to progress. Something very strange has happened in one of the countries. One of the top scientists has lied to his president. And we know it's been discovered. And now the whole nation knows. And we are watching to see how the government responds or the president responds. I said, we hope we don't see the mistake of the past by execution. We don't see the past by imprisonment. But we see the president will use his grace and his work and understanding of the soul of the man to elevate the soul of the person, that his knowledge, his work become assets to the nation and not a coffin in the ground or a box in prison. This has been the habit of the man. And this has to change. With the knowledge we have, we elevate, we do not punish. Many times, I elevate the soul of my enemies, even those who write heavy. They are there to serve a purpose, I know. But it's the way they serve to others seems to be wrong. But in fact, it's the best way because those who don't understand will join in, and those who understand, they keep clear. We have no enemies. We have those who have gone and worked in the ways they thought is the right way for them to survive and do what they've done wrong. The only way is to elevate their souls and nothing else. Let me explain to you something very simple. The man, the humankind, is as a cross point. To become man of space and equality and peace, or stay in the village of earth and in a way to vanish. It's for us as Keshe Foundation to teach the mankind to make the choice. And those who make the choice can join the spaceship. And those who decide to carry on with the past, they can stay behind. Would a man from jungles of Africa would like to be in space? Yes, when he knows his and his family have no more room on this planet as the life of this planet is doomed. Do you stay in the house when you know the hurricane on its way? Or do you move? And this is the option for the mankind. We move on, we teach. We've seen the development in Africa. I'm sure once we release the way we produce things in a way which should be, that is at the reach of every man, you will find out will change the course of humanity. It's weeks away. When I can release a bottle of water which carries all the energies man needs, with one cup, he satisfies his hunger. He elevates his soul and he finds the shelter within the body of himself. Does the man need to progress into understanding of the totality of the knowledge? Do we need to go further, or do we need to stop and think and carry on? Many times I've said, when a man fails to do, we shall do. And now we see the failure of a man, and we shall do. It took me 5 months to build, to achieve possession of land, buildings, factories, jobs in an African nation. When I was sitting with one of the government advisors, he said, it's a miracle. In such a short time you achieved that we did not even know we have the resources for. I respect the nation. I gave job to the top scientists that the nation did not have a job. I pay at the rate of European level to the scientists, which is many times more than the national income. And I respect them, and I teach them. And in that process, we have not repeated, as I said before, the job of China. Get a man separated from his house and his wife and his children to work as a slave in a sweatshop, for the man in the West to enjoy a hi-fi system at the expense of the other man's life. I pay and set the example for the government to look after man at home when he's at peace, does not need to take to the high waters and deserts to be abused by those what we call human trafficking. And I keep the assets of the nation, which is its human resources, in the nation. And this has become the example of all the works we do in all the Keshe Foundations around the world. The reason we are successful is because we are correct in conduct. Because we don't talk, we produce. We don't talk, we do. Absenteeism in the factory is more or less zero, because they all want to be there, because they know they are there to bring changes, and they know there is a purpose for their life. And this is how it should be. When we set up the factories across the world in the coming weeks, you will hear more and more. It will be the same ethos, where I can take a man from the factory in Congo and I can put him in New York. He lives the same lifestyle because he receives everything he needs through the operation of plasma, and then he has enough. He does not have to worry about moving from Congo into New York to work. Our communications are there, and if he needs, he'll be there in time to go back home without leaving the children behind. And secondly, does not work as a slave to feed another man's pleasure at the highest rate. One of the biggest problems we see in our economical structure, which we're trying to reorganize, is pensions. The biggest problem for human race at the moment, the abuse sits with what we call pension policies in the West and the governments. Pensions in West, your work that when you're older, they can pay back to you. And in that process, they only invest in the companies that are most abusive, because they abuse man to show the maximum profit for their shareholders, which is the pension companies. That this leads to more abuse. The pension organizations around the world will be reorganized. Because if we can give the warmth, the wealth of the security of no hunger to the man who has served humanity during his youth, without him understanding damaging another man to be without a child and a child without a father, for him to show a link, then we break the cycle. No structure has damaged and brought slavery to man than the pension policy, what we see in the West. And it's become norm in the rest of the world. It's breaking the back of the governments, and they cannot find a solution for it. The solution sits with what you do. Delivery of energy, water. In a way, in the next step, as I've said before, we will deliver We are working on it in a different way that nobody understands how till we complete our work. The food will be delivered through the water pipes of the cities, that no man can go hungry. That in the other place, we can deliver the medication what the man needs for his shortcoming of physicality through the waters. These are not the dreams anymore. You've seen my bottles. We'll repeat this across the world in the coming time very rapidly through cooperation with the governments, where the need is not there to show profit, but the companies will work to see who's serving more correctly the workers. This is part of the biggest problem of present economical world. One is the most bankrupt nation trying to make money to stay alive and pretending to be the superpower, and one, the structure of pension policies. With this, what we saw with the military, you'll find out we have brought in the end of Rothschild family operation. It's very simple. Gold has no value. It's very simple. Power does not exist. We end up with what you call Illuminatis or the knights of whatever. We all become illuminated with the knowledge, and we all become right with our Rothschild work. They had to be there for us to understand our weaknesses, and we have to thank them for what they have shown, what they have brought in past centuries, has brought us to understand where we are weak, that we can strengthen. In the next few months, you will see how we'll change this, because this sits at the cornerstone of the work of the Keshe Foundation in the coming time. By setting up what we saw at the bottom of the waters, in understanding the technology, in understanding the work, and understanding where we gone wrong, we can correct it all together. This is the structure we have to understand. This is a structure which brings a lot of things together, and there is no change. We have set the scene. They don't allow you to have a water if you have a diabetic. In the United States, a small flight to Ghana gives you the solution. One of the very high priests, Christian priests, in Ghana, sometime before Christmas, middle of last year, was in the United States. He was flown to the United States to receive the latest medication for high blood pressure. Extremely connected with the government, well connected within the structure of the operation of the Ghanaian society. His blood pressure, using the latest medicine in the United States, was 220 over 160. Death was imminent through a stroke or whatever. The daughter of this man works in Ghana Atomic, comes in touch with Benjamin, says, Benjamin, my father is dying. We have sent him to the United States. They can't find a solution for him. This is the blood pressure. Benjamin says, bring him back. There is a solution here with us. The daughter writes and calls the father, come back. The solution is here. It's in Atomic. It's part of us. With that high blood pressure, they fly the priest back to Ghana. Benjamin suggests and gives the water, which is good for high blood pressure. In less than a few days, this is what he gets. We didn't know. This man is the man who's taken us across the whole governmental structure, which says they all knew he's going to die. He says, I'm the man. I'm the example of it. Technology works, and everybody else is following it. We have seen a cup of water changing a life. But the strangest thing is, we didn't know. His son is part of Ghana Keshe Foundation as one of the scientists working with us. He never disclosed who his father is till we found out. Because the father believes so much in the work that his son has joined the foundation. He is a petroleum scientist. He's a degree as a petroleum engineer and now works in Ghana Atomic with us, Keshe Foundation, for change of the course in oil spillage and how we can do the damages of petroleum, which you explained before in other teachings. The top scientist in the United States could not save the life of a man in the most richest nation, more advanced in medicine. Bottle of water in Ghana, given freely, has changed the life. So now you understand how we work, how we operate, and how the operation should be. We have many examples like this. Ghana Keshe Foundation has become Mecca for people to come to find salvation from the things they could not find, refuge from illnesses and the rest. Now we deliver the energy systems to them at the prices which Ghanaian can afford. And we have managed to change very interesting position in Ghana. In Italy, when we put the energy systems out, the bankers were supposed to come in at high rate to finance in advance. The way now we are working is the government is paying to the foundation because they are partially owner of the company for us to supply the workers and the workers to pay back in pieces as installments. So it's not for us, but now a soldier who had to put away, let's say, 200 CD a month for electricity, now he pays more or less nothing, and he pays his government back 20 CD a month for the pleasure of having a free energy of the systems for his life. In time, we'll change these free energies of universe to be absorbed by these systems where they can take energy for their life, for food. This plasma power system is not just a plasma system for light or heat. If you position it and work it in a specific way, it'll give you everything you need as food. It's very simple. You all know it. Soon I'll explain. As I said, it is amazing the life of the man to start in Africa as a race, and now Africa finds solution for his children to save them from all the mistakes of millions of years, to give man the freedom. Africa gave birth to man, and now as a motherland of the humanity, finds the salvage through his correct conduct for the human race. This is how the foundation will work. And as I said, this is my wish, and my wish is my command. It'll be done, and it's getting done. You see in the bottles, it's just water. The scientists in every aspect of the Ghana Scientific Organization, Water Commission Board, Nuclear Center, Atomic Center, FDA have turned this water upside down. They can't find anything in it. But they see it, how it's changing conditions. And if you look, we use the same water to create the energy plasma box, nothing more. That's the secret behind the new plasma technology. Weighs less than 500 grams. The total system weighs less than 50 grams. With attachments, around about 250, with a box about half a kilo. Delivers energy, which we said we cannot put any more limitation. It's on demand what your house can carry and to see the demand. We have delivered the first phase of energy on demand, and I've been asked even by Arman, can we have it for Arizona factory? I said, no. Why should I? But you have to tell us. It's got to be on a blueprint. Last time I gave, nobody thanked me. They just put a lot of rubbish on the internet about me. So why should I spare this time? I only share it with the military and the governments, but we give it to everybody in the government and the military. They respect it because they see the benefit of it. But we bring it out in the Keshe Foundation factories, which we'll set up with the government. Which means nobody can take and run and then insult us. I gave you the freedom. You went to the totality of destroying yourself and us. Now we go back where we came, to the arms of those who can bring, understand, and change the humanity. Because the humanity has failed the test. As I said many times, we try you again and again. As long as you fail, we go to the next step to see if you have learned. How many of you who build the systems, the MAGRAP systems, gave the workshops, have put anything back into the foundation? One or two? Hundreds of thousands have been made. Some people, we hear, charge 600 euro for showing how to make a MAGRAP system, and nothing is put back into the foundation. We hear those who make MAGRAP system and give it freely to the others because it saves their time and their life, and devote their time to serve. If they're sick, they see the elevation of their position of their soul. I know how to make gold. I showed it to the Japanese. How much gold would you like me to make by tomorrow? That will not solve the problem. That worsens the problem. So we have to learn to understand where we are going as collective humanity. And then we come to the journey. It's nice to be back home. It's nice to be a resident of Italy. As you know, we have now residents of 2 nations and carry the citizenship of 1. We have a full residence and life in Ghana. We have a full residence as Italian, and we are the citizens of this planet, born in the most beautiful nation on the world, Iran. But we are all equal. The problem is, as long as nationalism, color, language is the barrier, man has not moved from the skin of the man in so many ways to understand the skin touches the emotion and it's the soul which has not changed. In so many ways, very few people understand what they are doing. But by the time they understand, they find out they become a slave to their own soul and to humanity to serve. I don't teach and I don't preach. I enlighten that you understand the mistakes you make. You're worried about a cup of tea or the clothing tonight, spend some of your time understand how the maglev systems work, understand how the system has to be in its totality. You will have everything you need. Nobody, no one could imagine 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I start teaching that this material, a copper, will change the human race by just nano-coating it. And the essence of changing the structure has been with man from the time when he made the soap, from the protein of his own life, understanding that in the flash of the fat which he made from the ashes of the structure of his environment as caustic, mixing it with a soap, which was his own protein, will become the feeder of his own protein and closes the circuit. No one understood how simple in understanding the structure of the work of any condition in the universe is to find the essence of the physicality at the point, and once understanding, transfer it into the energy of the plasma of itself. You can live in any position in the universe. On Earth, the physicality of the man is conditioned on his muscle tissue that he exists as entity, which is based on copper. So it was easy to understand. You can use the copper to feed the man, to change the man, and change the humanity. So simple. We have started the spring in Northern Hemisphere as the Iranian New Year clocked in on Monday. I hope we enter the spring of the man's life to change and clock in for peace and, as we said, understanding of the technology. In so many ways, we have come a long way, but in a very short time. It took man millions of years to get to this point, and it's taken us 3 years to enlighten millions. A priest said, Mr. Keshe, it took Christ 300 years to achieve so many followers. You have done it in 3 years. Public teaching, you have changed the course of humanity. But it's not me, but it's us. By enlightening, we can change. The Keshe Foundation has more followers in a short time than any prophets of the past has ever managed to gather in that time. And you can imagine now what it will deliver. It's you got to change, to find a way, not us, because those who understand will change the course for it, not us. It has to be correct, it has to be understood, and it has to be implemented according to the laws of universal councils and the laws of the universe, not the man for benefit of his pocket. Now, I put it to you again. Become and work towards one way to bring peace and knowledge, and you will see the benefit of it. And in so many ways, those who think can stop the process, those are the same ones who are never understood what we are up to and what we are here to do and how we will change the whole structure. Any questions? And I'm sure Azar will be the first one.
Actually, I'm going to try to get a question in for.
We got a voice.
There's an echo from. Yeah.
You got an echo in your package.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Eid Mubarak, Azar.
عید شما مبارک. Rick, if you want to ask a question, go ahead, because then I can. I don't have a question, but I want to say a couple of things.
Okay, well, let's just get it lined up here. We had a question from Josh in the Q&A when you were doing the formula for the plasma speed of light. And so he asked, would you please write the full formula of the plasma speed of light in space?
There is no formula. It's understanding the parameters and parts of the structure which you have to consider. My biggest problem is I don't like formulas. I find them limitation to the brain of a lot of people. Once they have it, they don't think anymore. If you go back, when you do the atomic mass, whatever you do, if you go back, this is what we're discussing with the scientists the other day. Energy with whatever you do. You have to understand everything is based on gravitational magnetic field of a given condition in transition or in respect to a given point in a space or time. But the reality is the time does not exist in the space. So the only thing you can consider is the transmutation from one state of energy to the other. So if you do that and you consider the totality, you find the weight and the energy inequality will create the biggest dilemma for man, because he doesn't understand if he has a mass or is he energy. And that's where the problem has sat with man for years, for centuries. Scientists who never understood the totality try to put some figures around it. Look at all the constants with all the assumptions which has been made, trying to create some sort of formulas. You have the speed of light. But we know a plasma has a speed in every spectrum, and if you are in that position of given time, of the space of given position, you are light. Yesterday I explained in a conference. Some of you might have heard before. Many years ago, Caroline put a candle in front of the door on the table, and he sat me in front of it. He said, look into the light, you will see. And I said, I am the light. And the candle weighed nearly 1 kilo, just flew off. Because when you understand its position, if you understand the strength you carry, you are the light at any point in the universe, irrespective of the position, as the strength you carry according to environment you are in its interaction, in the difference in its strength, will create a light, will create a residual, which manifests itself, you call it the photon of the plasma, or plasmatic photon in motion. I spoke and taught many years as a physical making of a system, making ganses. But if you want to speak in the language of the science and equations, I can teach you more about the science of the universe than you can ever imagine. But the scientists have to take a lot of restriction out of the assumptions. The biggest mistake has been made in the world of science up to now has been assumptions by other scientists. They assume and assume and assume and assume, and they dismiss what it doesn't suit them to get to an equation which they want to prove is theirs, and it works. And then they make machines to prove it. How many of us as scientists, when understood the first and second law of thermodynamics, we threw it to the window? It's nothing but nonsense. But they work with it, and they make nuclear reactors and the cooling system and the rest of it with it. Because all the mistakes they make at the end leads, all the assumptions they didn't count it, to the explosion of the nuclear reactors and the rest of it. How much assumption has made in the world of medicine that this thing will do this and that, as they never understood the whole concept of the plasmatic interaction, you get what you call side effects. And all the dangers which comes with the interaction of the matter state in injections or tablets or the rest. If you understand the process, you interact with the field, not with the matter. Then you write the equation. But when you do these things, when you trying to put figures or words to explain the process or the measure of a process, look at the totality and remember one thing from now on. Consider one position. Any state of the plasma in the universe cannot exist if there is no interaction of that plasma with the other plasmas in its environment. Then you understand how simple the knowledge becomes. Write a formula, no problem. But now you worked in the order of magnitude. Now you worked in multiple integration of 4 and 6. Now you have to work in the integrals and God knows what of many, many. Because up to now, in all the calculations of the scientists up to now, we considered this is the only thing. And that's why we made all the mistakes. Now we have to consider this exists and has a position because of this, because of this, because of this, and many others. I bring you something which is here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you go down to the bottom of this? On your screen, you can see the spaceship. It has no physicality. When I see this here in this lab, so many times I tell myself, when are they going to understand? You can have this physicality anywhere in the universe, as long as you have a gradient potential difference between the environment outside and environment inside, that inside can keep to its existence irrespective of what is outside, but you can make a barrier that the both can coexist without one destroying the other. Does man need all this nonsense? In so many ways, we do not understand. In so many ways, in confining ourselves to be able to trust something we can replicate has become our biggest problem. And this will come in so many ways as part of the structure. I'm getting messages with Giovanni, sending it on. He wants me to tell something. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. You want me to send it forward? This is what is Giovanni wants me to send you is yesterday with very famous, is a famous doctor in Romania. I'll send it to you. Rick is coming from our Romanian colleagues, most probably listening in the background. It'll be nice if you can send us the picture of the audience as well. I'll send it to you, Rick. You can read it. You can See it? And what is interesting is that how us as human beings have decided to ignore a lot to confirm what we would like to confirm. How we as human beings have ignored a lot. If you want, you can share the pictures in the background. Even if you look at the image you see in the teachings now, which is I shared with Rick. Rick, if you want to share the pictures, this is what we said we were in, what do you call it, Bucharest yesterday.
Yeah, I've got the picture up. Okay, I've got the one picture up now. Can you see it there? Maybe it's not switching over and you're in.
Yes, it's coming up.
Okay.
This is the conference which was organized. We were in Bucharest. Thank you very much for our colleagues, Keshe Foundation Romania, and supporters of the foundation, which runs into apparently thousands of them. You got to understand something very simple. Even what you see as an image is an interaction of the field of plasma. It's the image of the interaction of the soul that it gives the image of the face. And if man understands this, he will understand very much what is involved and how he can use this to be able to help itself in so many ways in change of the course, in so many ways in understanding how he can manifest itself, how he can understand the totality. I'll send you another picture. The Romanian Keshe Foundation wants these pictures out. They're sending it. You better send it directly to Rick than sending it to me, and I have to send it to Rick. So you got another one coming up. You see, in the next picture, we don't look at space, we don't look at time, we don't look. Would you like to put the next picture up? We just sent you. In so many ways, is the way we would like any of us to be shown to be in that space of time, to be us. Blonde, blue eyes. As somebody yesterday was amazed with the green eyes and the blonde hair, they call her the green-eyed lady. In so many ways, these are all scientists. This is the professor on the left-hand side, where you see is doing the mathematical, what you call, calculation. These are all men of science. And they share their knowledge freely. They are not waiting for a peer review, a paper to be published, but sharing it allows them to do. It is interesting how we will, and we have shown ourselves, why one of us is white, one of us has a black hair, why some of us have different shape and color. We have mutated to show the strength of our emotion, of our souls in the physicality presentation. If we manage to do that to ourselves coming from one essence of the original man, then we have missed something. If we can change ourselves, all coming from the same man to start with, and we have taken these colors and shapes and sizes, then we know how to evolve and we know how to survive in the span of the universe. It's us who have to understand, with the knowledge which we have now, we come to the next step. How we can speed it up, that in seconds we can become the next in the deeper space, to be shown to be amongst the others, but still be part of the others, knowing inside we have been created on earth. This is the beauty of what is it, is the beauty of understanding the totality. If we have managed to mutate from one entity to split the two, to be able to create conversion between the two, to lead to the creation of this, what we call offspring. And the offsprings, in wanting to be different and living, moving to different location, has changed from a black skin, black hair, to some keeping our black hair, some of them keeping up black skin. But we have manifested ourselves through the emotion, control, and through our soul in different shapes and colors. The most funniest thing is, if we, all of us in this picture, move to planet Zeus, would be able to keep the clothes on. Where these materials in planet Zeus, in the strength of the field of it, we will not look all this way, but through our souls, we know each one of us, we are the passengers of the universe from planet Zeus. We come in as planet Earth. What are you sending me? More photos? Okay, no problem. But understand the totality. We have mutated. We have decided to change the plasma in different strength, and now we appear as different entities in front of one picture. In a space, instead of millions of years to change color, shape, to be independent, to be us, we only shall see the soul of the man from the earth, and you say, I know that one. That soul is the way it's created on earth. Even though on other planet will be of the different features and the structure. It's very interesting how man has evolved, and man has forgotten how to evolve because it's done by so many others. And this is the beauty of it. And this is how it shall be. We have to learn what we missed, or we have to understand what we missed, that in a space we change ourselves to fit, to survive, to be the entity that it can communicate with other souls. The next question. Sorry about this, but it's important for us to understand. Can I have my whiteboard back that I can go to the gentleman with his questions? You asked about what we called the totality of how to write a formula. You have written a formula. Now you consider the speed of the motion of the plasma which you are created, or you travel within, or you are part of. The other problem you have is how do you again go on understanding your, what you call the mass. Don't forget your own mass is internal, but in its internal operation has many dimensions. When you consider the mass itself is magnetic and gravitational based. Itself has to have a limitation of itself, which is the body of the man, and its environment which allows it to grow into. Now your dynamo becomes a little bit bigger because what has created the mass itself, it dictates the speed of its motion too. Not only internally, but in respect to the environment which is operating in. In many of the teachings, I explain a simple way, simple word, and nobody have understood. It's in the book, I think, number 1 or 2. I always say, I think it's maybe in book number 3, that the universe cannot grow in the unicos unless the other universes do not give the space for it to exist. This comes out of the present theory that the universe is expanding. It can only expand to the limit that the others allow it to exist, that it does not endanger their existence. In so many ways, the only condition of the existence of the mass is the magnetic positioning of the others in respect to each other and the universe we exist. It can only grow and it can only exist in that space and nowhere else. Because if the spaces of, let's say, F and D does not create more than 5 centimeter gap, this gentleman here cannot be more than most probably 4.5, because it has to fit in here. Even though it has its own mass, but its mass in respect to position has partially gets dictated by the environment it is in. Do you gain more mass by absorbing more energy from the environment of where you're trying to coexist? Or do you reduce mass? So the mass in the universal plasma constant does not exist. And this is another assumption which is made by Einstein. This is where, when you think and work in universal condition, now that you understand the totality work of the universe, have to understand the reality and cannot ignore. What is the transformation, the transition, and the total existence of the fields in so many ways of the whole environment in this part. Then, maybe then, you can write an equation for the energy of the entity in a given point, in a given condition, in respect to a given strength of the plasma. Working with plasma, understanding it is easier than measuring it and formalizing it, because you run into huge problem. The way man has made his own mathematical formulas with a lot of assumptions from the beginning of the time when the scientists start putting things together. Because they worked on the matter state and we can tangibly feel the matter state, we have accepted to be the sacrosanct, and that's the only way it is. But now that we understand the work of the plasma, now that we understand the positioning of the plasma, now that we understand each plasma at a given point can have characteristics of many, many entities depending on what strength you're standing to look at, then you find out we are practical. You hear us? Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
What we explained, they tell me the sun has fallen out. So what we understand in the totality, when we consider writing a formula, we have to understand the totality work of the fields, not only internally, but externally too. It goes back to the pictures we saw. Man inside, through the strength of his emotion, would like to be different. In respect to the environment, which is conditioned itself, it changes its color and its appearance. So we've seen it in the life of the man on this planet, and there is no different in the space. How do you write a formula for energy conservation is to understand the whole totality of the energy conversation. If you don't do, is the easiest way is to work with no formula the way the rest of the universal community works. You feel the strength of the soul, the strength of the source, the strength of the totality, and in desire, you dictate the position where you want it to be. If the will is not strong enough to trust in the conversion, we take into the hands and the boards of what we call spaceship. If we don't know how to drive, but we want to get from A to B, we get a taxi. It's the same. We don't understand the work of the strength of our soul. We join a spaceship which carries the ethos of our soul. In so many ways, a spaceship is a ship for the man to cover the space of universe. But first of all, he has to understand the space of his own soul. Otherwise, he doesn't exist. Now, you write the formula. Ignore thermodynamic, because in so many ways it does not exist in the universe. Ignore the assumptions made by so many, and use your own understanding of the totality. Try to take it a step further. Try to understand it totally. And maybe you can write a formula of life in the universe, because it cannot be so simple. As I said, I deal with the children in the kindergarten who like to play. I give you the cores, and I give you the GANs making machine and nano coating. You speak at the level of the what I call first and second year. I write you and give you the knowledge of the universe and understanding of total of knowledge. And when you grow up to understand more, I'll give you the secret of life, which sits and embedded in the understanding of the creation as a physical entity at any levels of the creation. What might be a surprise to you, but I've explained many times before, is this. And then you might understand. If you look at the plasma, I am manifested at this, while I'm manifested at this, while I'm manifested at this, and while I'm manifested at this. I am the same, but according to the eye of the observer, at that point, I am everything. I am the beginning, I'm the end. Depends, are you standing here or are you here? So a plasma to you might look green and running as the speed of light, but to another observer at a point of P is doing at thousands of times the speed of light, because it's at a higher strength. So do we, or are we observers of multi-entity in the depth of the space of the universe at any point? The answer is yes. Now, the only way you can write a formula for it is to understand the strength of the soul of yourself, and in that strength decide in which point of the strength of your soul you like to be observed. So many people speak about multi-dimensions to be at the same place at the same time. As a plasma, you can be, but it depends on the point of the observer. Do I see you as a human in position A, and do I see you as a Martian in position B?
Is that due to transition points, Mr. Keshe?
No, it's always there. It's a point of observation. We have to rewrite the world of the science of the man if you understand what is on the board. Because now we deal with the reality of existence. We deal with the essence of creation. We understand no assumption, and we understand the coexistence of the totality is within the structure of the one cell. This is where human race has had a lot of problems. How far do we go? How deep we go to understand the reality without assumption? And the only place that you can exist without assumption is within the soul of the man. Because through the emotion, you manifest yourself according to the filter strength which you have put in there. If you understand this is the structure of the soul of the man, A is Venus, where B is Earth. And then, if you like to be C, you end up to be Saturn. But they all coexist, and the same thing from the same soul, which is the center of the sun's gravitational magnetic field. If you understand this, you understand even our sun manifests itself in different shapes, in different positions. Why shouldn't it be the capability of the soul of the man? There are no exceptions in the world of creation. It's for us to understand the totality, then we shall pray to no churches and no mosques, because we are aware of the reality of the existence. Some need formulas to confirm their own level of understanding. Some need to understand the strength of the soul of themselves. They don't need no formulas. And some will escape, I don't understand. Let the others do it. When they finish, I'll have a bite at it. Any other question?
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
This is Azad. That's why I last time I spoke to you and I said definitely we are decaying then. I mean, we are decaying, the earth is decaying because we can no longer function where we are in the universe because there is nothing to hold us in place. Because we have to...
Hold on. Why do you think you are decaying? Why don't you think you are gaining something from the environment?
No, I'm not saying we're decaying. I'm just saying we're giving birth to a new earth, and that's why the earth has to go. This earth is no longer can function the way it is.
The thing is, partially the change comes through the interaction of the field. Partially, we are part of the transition time. Partially, we happen to be in this mass of the fields at this point of time we call our life. Everything has a cycle of its own. Depends where you're sitting on the point of the observation. Life.
And also, Mr. Keshe, also I want to tell you the knowledge you brought us actually is so massive. I mean, the understanding of it is not easy. I mean, I can give you an analogy. Imagine there is an island 200 years ago, and we are people in that island, and we found a plane, and we're looking around it, we look inside it, we find the seat, we find the cockpit. The only thing came to our mind to put rope on the wing and put people in it and put it from one side of the island to the other side and taking people from one side to another side. We don't understand how to fly it. I think that's what I'm thinking, that your knowledge is so just, I mean, just understanding it, and for a lot of people, just unimaginable. It's going to take time, but is humongous. I mean, I don't know when people are going to get it, but God knows when.
Don't forget, we don't teach the man nowadays. We teach across the universe. Man in time will understand. Any other question?
Hello,
Mr. Keshe, also I want to bring up a couple of points. Is right now, Keshe Foundation is getting huge, and I think we should have a structure in place so people have a guideline, because people are coming to the foundation and they want to make ganses, they want to make maglev, but then you spoke one time about if the ganses are pure or the maglev are correct. So I'm thinking about, if you create a system, we need two systems in place. One system how to, for example, I give you an example. If 10 people already made ganses and maglev, they can, you already know they're making a good gans and maglev, and then two of them decided to have a workshop. So the two people who make the workshop, they should be given the equipment how to do the analysis of other people's gases and maglev. So if they're teaching 100 people, so they can check those people's maglev and gases. So that's correct. Then 20 of those people want to do a workshop. Then that 20 people are going to be given the equipment to check.
Azarjan, the problem is that organization, physical organization, is beyond the work of our teaching. As some of you might know, the teaching on the workshop level now is headed by Brett. He's bringing everything together because Farhad couldn't do it. It's too big. So Brett, with his experience, has taken over. He's been given the opportunity to be able to bring all the workshops on the one banner, and you'll see it on the new website. How you do it is how individually are prepared to accept what knowledge another person can give you. And in receiving it, don't consider as to be the ultimate, the only way, but add your own flavor of understanding to it. Then I hear a lot of people going to the workshops and they do a lot of work. And then they say, this is the way we thought by so-and-so. And it's wrong. The wrong comes from you who do not extend the knowledge by yourself that there is another way. I have to think to do it myself. I've been shown the rope, but it's for me to decide which cliff I go up and which cave I go down into and learn from it.
Mr. Keshe, that's correct, but that has to do with the basic, because gas making and nano coating, these are basic. But then each of us have our own essence. But if you put the workshop thing on the shoulder of one person cannot handle it. But if you make it like each group can do their own way.
That is something for you lot to organize.
So
there are
many
languages, there are many people, there are many cultures, and many things. You got to understand. I'll give you an explainer, Azarjan. In Africa, in Ghana, we wanted to do some tests. And to you and me, you're a dentist. It's very easy to give blood. We do it to understand the position of our entity. In Ghana, people have a huge problem to give blood, especially if you want to use a blood for a specific research. The belief is that you can use that blood to make a voodoo and control their soul. This is one of the biggest problems we have in Ghana now in part of our research. In Ghana, nobody gives you a nail cut. They won't give you a hair of their body because you can use it and abuse it according to how they psychologically has been positioned and understood that they can use it to control you. It's very strange. When you walk in Ghana, when you look at Ghanaian women, they don't shave their leg. Where in Europe, it's very normal. And I couldn't understand. I thought, what's wrong with even very highly educated people? And I asked the question. And when I was told this is the reason, they say you can do anything. We do anything for work, but don't ask us to just give one hair. Because they're conditioned mentality in that way. We have to understand what culture and how we teach each other and how much is acceptable without crossing the boundary of the acceptance in that culture, in that way. We can workshop teach. We can do a lot of things, but we cannot push people, and this cannot be one person just because it shows. Our knowledge seeker teachers, our workshop teachers are just there to inspire. And any of them pushes this is the only way, you got to say, I have my own way of doing it. I have the freedom of being a passenger of the space. I decide which part of the space I take.
Mr. Keshe, that's correct. What you're saying is correct. For example, I was going to say we can raise money for the building the Ghana Center very fast. For example, each of us has our own essence. For example, I came up with many ideas. How can I work? I make a alkalizer to go. I came with the things for sports clothes, things like that. So, for example, imagine I make alkalizer to go. Initially, I don't have the money. I start from home. And what I do, I send my alkalizer to you, to Ghana Center or any place, you okay it. So I say, okay, I'm going to fabricate this. And you say, Azar, this is good, go ahead with it. So I start making it at home. I sell 100 of them. I make, say, the first month or a couple of months, I make $4,000. The second year, I can make a factory. I have 50 workers. So I provide job for 50 workers. And I say I make $4 million. $4 million, $2 million goes to the Keshe Foundation. I have $2 million sitting in the bank. From that,
let me stop you somewhere.
Can I finish? Okay, that $2 million I have in my possession, I can use maybe 120,000 for myself. I have 1,800,000 in my possession. Suddenly, Dr. Rodrigo said, Azar, I have a project I have to run. I have no money. I said, Rodrigo, here, this is the money. So each of us we can have a central bank that everybody can use to create a product, market it, and then those knowledge, anybody has an essence. Those essence gonna get to population, and we're gonna flood the population with all the plasma. Somebody make a soap, somebody make a clothes, somebody make a shoe, somebody make something else, but we are all connected in a very, very organized way. It's not a hodgepodge anymore.
I don't know. It depends how people see to do it. We don't look and we don't go in that way to see how people, what they do and the way they do and what they put back in. We had a very recent example. I was receiving so many communication that such a person is doing such a thing, is now putting back to such a thing with the foundation and the rest of it. I said, time will tell. When they run into trouble, they come back and they say, blah, blah, blah. We've seen them, many of them.
But Mr. Keshe, forget about
that's not our job. Listen, Azaja, we don't go into this. I don't go into this because this is nothing to do with our teaching of today. But we have to leave it for people to decide. If you speak about the Space Center in Ghana, we need a lot of financial support to build it. But we will build it. It'll be built in a very short time. You've seen it. I said this is going to be, you've seen it. We are in the most prime position. We have received a lot of support. And we will bring this into international support. But when I give to the governments, it'll be very hard for public to get it back. You ignored it. You have not done. I don't want to stop working. I have a target. I have to build the spaceship setup, work with it, bring what it needs to be done. But it's for man to decide, and we don't interfere. Doesn't matter if you wait till you make your 4 million, by the time you make the 4 million, we are already finished the product. There's no need for it. The process has to be that we can sustain. We can sustain teaching, we can sustain development, we can sustain the progress of the knowledge, we can sustain to change the course of humanity. I was in Presidential Palace last week, and a guy said to me, "Hello, Mr. Keshe." I didn't know him. I said, "I don't know you, sir." He said, "I've been to your lecture. I'm so-and-so from National Security. Welcome to the Presidential Palace." I said, "Thank you very much. But I can't remember." He said, "Do you remember I talked to you about this and this?" I said, "Do you know what we need?" To myself, without all this, we need support that we can bring, that there are no palaces. That the earth is a palace for us human race, not a building. To translate that to reality will take a man a long time. We work amongst each other as equal, but it's us who has to understand the difference. It's us who has to understand what is the priority, or do we consider as a priority? I said to Benjamin, "Do you remember this guy?" He said, "Yes." "You remember he talked about this and this?" I said, "I have no recollection." Because to me, the ultimate goal is to bring peace. It's for the man to choose the path. Do I go into atomic in a factory? I sit with my people in the factory. I make the same thing as they do. They get shocked when I go in there and I clean the floor or I do something else. But it's equal. I don't sit there, I'm in, it's got to be done. I pack things with them. I make things. I make coils with them. I do everything with them. When it comes at 4:15, when they have 15 minutes to clean the factory, I get a sweeper, I clean with them. And they say, "No, you cannot do." Why shouldn't I? When a man changes his position, is the man has lost the position. I know what I've got to do. And I know is the way it has to be done. But it's for the others to understand what it needs to be done. Last week, before I leave Ghana, I invited the whole of the staff, which is on the, what we call the production, all the scientists, for a dinner. They were shocked. I invited them to a very nice place to have dinner. After a couple of days, they had a question. It was burning them inside. Because they got the habit, the guy doesn't give if he doesn't take anything. If somebody does something for you in Africa, they say, "What has he given you? What bribe have you taken?" So ultimately, the day before I was taking them out for dinner, they couldn't stop it. I was on the table with them. They were making these things. And I said, "Why are you taking us for dinner?" I said, "Do you know why?" Because you have not learned the art of high level of scientists you come across and have not seen the way you have to behave as one of the scientists of the Keshe Foundation in public world of the foundation. I don't want you that when I take you out or you go to a conference of the Keshe Foundation around the world, say, "Look at that African, he doesn't even know how to set sit or hold the fork and the knife. It's not the responsibility of just giving them higher wages, that they have a life, that they don't become a slave. It's to teach them that they become equal, that they do not stand for the wrong thing, but they stand for the knowledge and the beauty they bring to human race. Managing is not just by talking. Managing is understanding the pain and the pitfall of your whatever you're in. If I send one of these so-called managers of the different sections of the Keshe Foundation in a conference, let's say in Rome or in New York or anywhere else, and they don't know how the etiquette of life is internationally, they stand out like a sore thumb and they lose their respect. It does not matter what knowledge they carry. This is a growth of the human race. For me, I have accepted not their participation in change of Ghana into the higher level, but in teaching them that they stand equal. And I'm doing the same thing in my teaching of the knowledge into space technology, that when I take man, man does not stand out like a sore thumb. And every man he sees or entity he sees become God because he knows some more than he does. It's the responsibility of all of us to remind all of us that we are equal, even though we might have different color of skin, different color of hair, a slightly different understanding, only in a narrow path of the science which we are interested in. Arrogance is the end of the life. So how do you want to do it? How do you want to teach? How do you want to change? It's your responsibility, not mine. It's you who have to understand and teach how for the human race to change. And do it not by force, but do it according to the love of man, and in what you give, you don't expect anything back. We need huge amount of money. The Ghana Spaceship Center is the first of many. Or if I announce today that we're going to build a, let's say, Romanian Spaceship Center, Romanians only contribute because it's their nation. This is what I see. We haven't received more or less any donation, very, very little, from anybody as such for the development. And all of you have enough to do. So where does it go? Do I sit there and say, I don't do it? I'll find a way. Now I negotiate with governments. But when the governments come in, then you'll see a different ball game. Don't cry, why now you've gone? Because you were given a chance. You wanted a chance for a patent, as I said. You did nothing. You were given a chance to participate. We can keep the work of the, what we call the center, independent from the hand of any government. You're not supporting it. I have to go through a backdoor to do it, and then when that backdoor comes to help you to have that, they want their say in it. But I try to keep everything as balanced as possible. I can open the books. How many of millions of people listening? Oh, he's collecting money because one, God knows what, her rights, whatever it likes. How many people we support? How many people we let go because we've seen their misconduct? Do I come and say this and that? No, we carry on. I went to Dubai. Everyone says, oh, he escaped to Dubai now because they wrote and they called many. Now the Middle Eastern governments beg for us to go back in because they realize they listen to a lot of rubbish. If an African nation now has a factory and can do these things, why did we listen to these people? The work is not the way you see it. The work is the way it's operating itself in the background. We do not interfere. We do not go and bash things about. We needed to keep your concentration on certain way that we could do our job. We done our job. We don't need to bother. We tried to teach, nobody listened what we need to be done. If I become open a church and say blah, 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 and show magic, everybody puts money in it because they want to a magician. That time is past. The magic comes through what you put in the society of the human race. We have a beautiful conference next week. We most probably have more beautiful conferences in the next 2 or 3 weeks. We open the Space Center with inauguration of the Space Center in the coming weeks. Will be what we call the traditional ribbon cutting, will be by the President of the nation, in conjunction with other ambassadors and world people that they invite to show Ghana has joined the space program. These are what we have. You do not even know what is set up to come. We don't open the center, you've seen it done. When we move the first soil, the place will be opened up by the President of the nation and maybe 2 or 3 other presidents next to him. It's all getting set up. It should be a banner. The funds for this site has been raised by the Keshe Foundation worldwide. And we haven't seen any of it. You're all waiting for me to show how we make the maghreb system to cheat your nation from taxes. So you're a thief by nature. We haven't seen any contribution, and we don't ask for it because soul has to do it, not us telling, this is going to happen, you're going to go to hell and it's the end of the world. No. The plan is, we have started it, dignitaries, world ambassadors will be on that land to start the program. The ribbon of the Keshe Foundation, Ghana, as a center for a spaceship, will be cut by the President of the nation. They're proud to receive the knowledge, they're proud to see the change in their structure, that the nation does not need to spend more money to bring in medicine from what it has so many side effects and so many other problems, and so many resources of the nation are drained from it. The reason we are respected and society kept in position in Ghana, because we have brought dignity, integrity, and value to the nation, and nothing else. When they asked for one thing, simple thing, I said to Benjamin and all the staff, even if you give a power unit to the president, you invoice the president. That one day they don't tell us you bribed. And when I did it, Benjamin said, it cannot be done. I said, this is the way it's done. I keep the foundation very clean in total across its work. So you keep on telling us what's next, what you're going to do. Oh, there's going to be a space center. A lot of people are sitting for handouts from the foundation. Why are you in trouble? Because you didn't put what it was supposed, or putting in was tinted with the wrong intention. The whole foundation is going through a turmoil at the moment. I watch, but I know why and where. We haven't opened a slot. You pay 10 euro, you can join the workshop. The knowledge is free. What you take from it, when I make $1 million, I give half of it. No, I give half of what I have and I'll reach the $1 million. This is the way, the more you give, the more you reach. And nobody understands it. It's not materialistic. Teaching, sharing, giving the knowledge, giving the Gans water to somebody who needs it, you understand it, you can help it to the energy to exist, to survive without hurting his soul, his physicality. So the rest is up on you, not me. I work by the ethos and I live by the ethos. And whenever there is a problem, I share the problem with the whole Keshe Foundation team. They know we are going through a transition. There's going to be a harsh time because we had to invest a lot because we received no support from nobody. Unless we sell something, unless we teach, we receive hardly any donation from anyone. You're nothing but a bunch of thieves. You steal from your soul and you expect to reach somewhere. It will not happen. It's your problem, not mine. We still survive. We're here nearly 20 years, and we have achieved as a preset. In 3 years of public teaching, you received more than Christ did, and Muhammad put together in 300 years. The sword of me is the soul of me, and nothing else. I cut with love and tenderness and sharing. It's you who cannot handle it, and separation is your problem. What's the next question?
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I am Ram from France. I should like to try to provide an answer to your question last week. How can we measure the strength of plasma water? As you know, a French doser using pendulum have given some results concerning coils. I did the same job, not with coils, but with guns themselves. I find very interesting results with guns, with water gases, and with amino acids. Thus, I could see, for instance, that when we add water over a gas, we need at least 10 hours before obtaining a water gas which has the usual strength. This is one of my results.
Can you repeat the last couple of sentences?
I wanted to know how long do we need to put water over gas so that this water, when we take it out and use it as a water gas, this water should have its strength. I mean its vibrational rate. So my experiment consists in trying how long it must stay over the gas before recovering this strength. I found that it needs at least 10 hours stay.
We are testing if I show you, you've seen the bottles. We have filled up these bottles nearly a month, and a lot is getting recycled, going out to different people. And we haven't seen any change of strength in the plasma strength of the water.
But how do you measure the strength? Because, you know, using...
This is what we asked last time.
Yes.
We need to develop technologies at what strength, in what MAGRAPH strength, we call it the strength we need to have or to get.
Okay.
Measuring it, we saw the system. Hopefully the gentlemen will come back and they teach us more in the coming days and weeks. But is there another way to measure the strength? Or can we use a point of reference? I have tried many ways to do it.
Okay.
Some fails, some you see result, some you see partial result. But it's for us totally all together to find a system that we all agree with, that this is the standard, that's the minimum. Do we compare it to a fixed environment, fixed condition as a standard that we can replicate it around the world or the universe, what we call the tritium? Or do we accept the deuterium? Considering that we lose a lot with tritium, but deuterium stays mainly in the same structure for a longer time. And then we measured the rate of the conversion from tritium to deuterium, and then if that conversion is constant and how much energy is transferred from one to another, that allows the division of or the creation of the conversion of one element to another. As Baha'u'llah said, bless his name, man matures when he understands the totality of the mutation of the elements. So how do we measure it? That we can directly convert gold into silver and silver into dust. And are we strong enough to see the dust to become a silver and gold and back to nothingness? This is how do we measure it? How do we create it? Then all the factors will create gold, because now we made the standard strength for it. These are the machinery and systems which has to be built, developed by the Keshe Foundations and others. We have this dilemma now in Ghana. The standard board, the FDA, have asked us, you have to set a standard. How are we going to measure it? That's why I came to Keshe Foundation worldwide. Tell us what we're going to do. How are we going to measure it? We need these answers from you lot, from those who are enlightened, that we can set the standards for what is to come.
Mr. Keshe, dancing is probably the language of the soul.
Pardon?
Dancing, using a pendulum, is probably a language coming from the soul.
Yeah, but the thing is, let me explain to you. You have a matter state, you want to measure a plasma with it. The scale we saw last week, I wanted to explain this. Thank you very much for bringing it up. Just, I've got to explain this. Those of you who are setting up systems or developing techniques for us to follow in measurement, we've seen that pendulum and we've seen everything else. Your pendulum is hanging and is connected to whatever. Your material is now coated on the platform of the plate or whatever. If you're trying to measure the strength of the coil, a nano-coated coil, you have to remember two things. The main thing is your whole system has to be nano-coated, that you measure same with same. You cannot now measure this as a nano-coated contact with a matter state where this is a matter you're trying to measure whatever. The problem becomes bigger when you start measuring plasma. So those of you who are developing or rescaling, you have to consider change your pendulums to a condition and material which is itself works in the at least partial field strength, not matter state with the field of the plasma. Even when you do it, hang your system from the same position, because then the common denominator strength starts from the same place. You will see most probably different measurements. And this is exactly what we started teaching today. It has to be a real condition and all the factors been taken out of any mistakes. So our friends who showed us how to measure it, it was wonderful learning. But sitting and thinking about it, you're measuring two different things. You measured a copper non-nano-coated with a non-nano-coated material. When you measure the next time you nano-coat it, you have to nano-coat this entity too. If you're measuring a plasma, your material has to be made of plasma. Then you see a realistic So, because next time if my pendulum is made of aluminum, the reading is totally different. But if my pendulum is made of the plasma of the same thing, it standardizes it. These are the corrections we need to do. We are learning together. It's not a mistake, it's the things we have to consider. Is the plasma in the same position height because you have gravitational magnetic field of the Earth having a say in the field, as I explained last time. Let us do it correctly, all of us, or at least we see a problem, we do it. I would love for those who start the wiki, KF wiki, to put a section for tools of measurement. Suggestions. Nobody is wrong. Nobody can say this has to be taken out because it doesn't make sense, because maybe we don't understand it. The wiki, KF wiki, Plasma wiki has to be open platform for all school of thoughts, not dictated by moderator because he doesn't understand it. Because you're as guilty as the others cutting out what can inspire somebody in the future. As long as you don't get nonsense, as long as you don't get what I call people who are disrupting, all knowledges on a wiki has to be transparent. And this is one of them. The people who come up with new understanding, and when you put your input in the wiki, try to be gracious. Don't insult each other because I know more. The man who says I know more is already finished because he knows no more. Then if you go that way, there is no animosity. There is no breakage of I knew more, he's wrong because I know. What you know, you don't see what the other guy has in his understanding. So one of the things you got to do with this measurement tool is fantastic. It gives an idea. It gives us a consideration to understand. But how? Try to bring everything you measured in your last measurement, a pendulum made of copper. Your material on the table is made of copper. You change this one to nano coated, and you want to still measure it with the matter. What happens if I might change this pendulum? The copper will not change the nano coating. If somebody else uses a different kind of pendulum, they never get what you got. So try to, when you do these kind of things, to consider all aspects, the positioning, the height in respect to where you're going, because a slight mistake can end you up in the deep seas or in the deep hot volcanoes, because you did not understand the totality of the work. Next question, please. How much time do we have? 12:45. We got 15 minutes before the transmission line on the.
Mr. Keshe, if you can see the aura, then you can see the energy. You don't need even use anything.
Maybe not. Maybe
I mean,
not.
it's easy to do it. It's very simple. I mean, you can feel it.
Maybe not. Are there any other questions, please, Rick?
Mr. Keshe, it's
yes.
Brett Hedley here, mate.
Yes.
I have something to share with you that we've been working on for quite a while. It's called a website called 8020 Marketplace. And essentially, it's a website called 8020 Marketplace.
Yes.
So what we're trying to achieve is equality between people from one country to another. So what we're trying to do is create a place that people can sell things, no matter whether it's a piece of clothing or a shoe or whatever, and give money back to the foundation. So I would really like you to spend a little bit of time in looking at what we're doing, because I believe that it's really important. So essentially, what we do is that we have a monetary system. It's an alternate monetary system. So we allow money to come from PayPal into a digital technology and then back into PayPal. So somebody in India that has a shoe to sell, they put it on the website, and then the foundation gets a cut of the money of the sale of the shoe. So it's about sharing in technology, and we have this thing called pulling things forward. So somebody that doesn't have money might give a day's labor as associated. So it's like an alternate monetary system. So what we're trying to build is the ability for people to be able to share, no matter whether they're in India, China, America, Australia, New Zealand. It doesn't matter. We all get the same, because we're using a digital currency in between. So it doesn't matter where you are, you get the same value for your work.
Thank you very much for the idea. It's upon people try, and they see if they see in what you do and they want to support it. But anything like this, if it's set up to support the foundation, you have to get in touch with the people who manage the foundation, which is mainly with Ella, and they be brought up to the management team of the Keshe Foundation. Every Saturday they meet at 9 o'clock. And it's a decision how to incorporate your work into the work of the foundation. We need the support, but we have to be correct too.
Yeah, well, we're about being correct.
You have such a program that is set up to support the foundation and not to line your life using our position. And no, let me explain this, because we've seen this many times. I'm not saying anything out of line. So that it helps to give you a lifestyle that you are happy to live with what you bring back into the foundation. There is no problem with it. But send these ideas, you set things up to the webmaster at Keshe Foundation, and then it'll be brought to the board when we meet every Saturday morning. So sometimes meeting goes for 3 or 4 hours at the moment. And the management team of the foundation will decide who will handle, who will be in the face between the suggestions and the work and everything else. The management team of the foundation is well known who we are and how they run. You have Armin, you have Vince, it's Rick, you have Stanley, you have Kevin, Ella as the head of Keshe Foundation, you have the head of the education, which Jackie heads. Who else? You have Vernie as part of the management team. We are adding 3 or 4 new members with the things which has been discussed to the team. And if you have their direct communication line, contact them, put your suggestion to them.
I can contact them.
Yeah, and we support you. We give you, because if you have such a thing, you can get a link to the new website. If they see
it's up and running. The only thing we've got to do is plug the digital currency.
Let me explain. We are trying to support in every way people's idea, and we understand a lot of people are working around the foundation, not only to support foundation, but the time they put to support themselves. This is understandable, is respected.
I don't need to support myself.
Yeah.
I've got an income.
You want, you see, let me, can I finish, please?
Sure.
If you have such a thing, which you have set up, somebody to come and find you on the internet is a lot of job. But if the management team sees as the way that it helps to be correct, it can be linked to the website of the foundation. We have Golden Age of GANs run by Mark House. We support it, we direct people to it, and at the same time, it allows a lot of alternative ways to come into. People bring a lot of things there. We see across the Golden Age of GANs, which Mark House runs, that it helps a lot of Keshe Foundation supporters. It brings in new ways and new that people leave their testimonials and everything else. We don't go and cut that, oh, he's taking something. No, we amalgamate a lot of things. Now with Brett, especially on these things, we bring a lot of you in. Now that the website is sorted, it took us 2 years to sort out the website. Yeah. Now with Stanley and Vince and Ella, it's been sorted. It'll be tested the next few days. You will see a totally different new website. All these things has to be parametered in, and the board of management of the Keshe Foundation has to have a say in how it's done, how we see it. If we want to try changes, you might get somebody might pass you, but if we see the way you work is to the benefit of humanity, and it can serve to bring more people because of it, they can see benefit by it, and it spreads the knowledge and the work of the foundation, why not? I see a lot of good in what you're doing, but we can give you exposure.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you. Please get in touch with any of our management team, who are at the helm. If I missed anybody in the background, please bring it out of the team of management.
It's all right. I'll just do it through the webmaster, but I really appreciate it.
Send it to webmaster or any of the management team. They will advise you where to go. We cannot be expanding in a way that we need to expand the team. The team will go to whatever is needed, and the discussions are very open and frank on Saturday mornings. It takes sometimes 3, 4 hours, 5 hours, it goes on, till everybody is happy with what we achieve, what we're going to do. There is a huge platform opening up, and that's what we call correct conduct. And we've seen people who gave us a lot of things, I'm doing this and that, and then we found out it was just to line their pockets and brought a lot of bad names for us. So we are avoiding it. It's getting done the proper way. We saw a hand for peace. We saw problems with it because it got infiltrated by those who actually have wrong intention regarding the foundation. We're looking at it. We might even take it off the list. Or we advise them what has to be done that is correct, that people don't get led to different places. Hand for peace is a valuable tool for teaching, but it's got hijacked very quickly by those who wanted to have a different things agenda on it. The newspaper, which is coming out of Arizona, the Plasma News, is a center for you to ask them to put this on it. When they read the Plasma, you want to contribute, explain what the site does, why not? There's more and more exposures. The websites of different countries, different languages are coming up, all be uniformed. I know Ella is working in the background. Go onto KF Ghana, Keshe Foundation Ghana, and look at the website. It's going all changed. It took 2 years. Now with the new structure of the website management with Vince and Stanley together, and Ella in the background set up the foundation, they're changing everything to suit all of us, to make it easy.
Mr. Keshe, will there be an ability for people to pay with either PayPal or credit card and that sort of thing? Other than I understand they can go to the KF USA site now, United States site, to use credit cards and that kind of thing.
Yes, the KF Ghana is set to do the same. But at the moment, Keshe Foundation USA accepts credit cards and PayPal. And it comes, you have to put it as a donation because the part which belongs to Arizona will be transferred to Arizona for what they are putting in the market. And then we transfer the rest back to Keshe Foundation headquarters for what we need to do across the world. Don't forget, Keshe Foundation Ghana and the project we have is one of the projects we are heavily involved with. We are involved in Tokyo in a very big way. You will see the results, the cancer research results, and very soon the radiation contamination results will be out. Those of you who are worried in coast of United States, north of Canada, northwest of Canada, in North China, in the coastline of the West, South America, which have been contaminated continuously by radiation by Fukushima, we will give you a way to decontaminate. It'll be done. We were hoping for it to be ready in the conference next week, but due to actually circumstances beyond the control, because some of the mouses from the present technology did not respond, the whole thing had to be reset to be done. Most probably, we release the thing. One of the most important things you have to understand, and I explain, is when we came to FDA, when we came to a standard board, when we came to authorities, when we submitted the research paper on non-toxicity and the research paper on the cancer to FDA, it was accepted immediately. They said they'd never seen such a beautiful report, so much in detail released. And for the first time, Keshe Foundation papers and the Spaceship Institute has been accepted as a valid paper for the approval of our own certification of our own product. They didn't want to do independent because the independence came from the university, a state of the professors who done the research. FDA and the scientists immediately accepted the Keshe Foundation paper as a solid base to issue documents. That's how to produce these kind of papers, to produce this kind of data. It costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of effort. And we have taken it. We see the benefit of it now. If we didn't do it in advance in the way it's done, now we go to FDA, we have to do tests ourselves. We have to do non-toxicity. We have to do this and that. Now our papers are, the papers which will be introduced in the conference next week, become published. The first conference in Ghana, the papers are getting written, getting approved, and then it'll be published as a scientific papers, because the papers you saw in Ghana became the backbone of the application for water treatment and what you saw, the bottles. So the position is that we need all support. All of you, whatever you're researching, we validate it if it's correct and it's acceptable, we publish it. Come to the conference, teach us. Don't come to conference just to see the papers. Come to the conference that you'll take from the soul of the conference, not from the word of the conference. That's how you get enlightened.
Mr. Keshe, I'm told there's like a 30-second warning that we have to end things here. So
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I do see in the chat, there's Dennis has pledged $100 a month to this development starting April in 2017. So there's some results already.
250 million euro minimum. And
okay, well,
we run it. Once we open it, they'll run it. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
We'll learn more than we expected. We'll see you in the conference in Rome in a few days' time.
Very good. Okay, that ends the 164th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, March 23rd, 2017. And as always, thank you everybody for attending, and hold any residual questions for next time around. Okay, bye for now.